All right, some technical issues. So we're live here on Any Given Thursday by Chat Sports. It's all good, producer. All right, we're trying this again. Any Given Thursday by Chat Sports, Harrison, Graham, and Chase Sr. The beauty of this show, Chase, is we're just loose. We don't need to have all these, proper intros. We're just going to go live and talk sports. That's what we do.
Hey, when you're the content daddies, you just roll with the punches.
Yeah, that's
Some
how it
things
goes
happen
here.
behind the scenes that you can't control. When you're dealing with technology can say, you can do everything right, but we're going to pivot, and we're going to pivot as well.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I've ever learned about technology is unplug it and plug it back in. If that doesn't work, then
just like your Wi-Fi.
That's how it's going to be. So shout out your city. Let us know where you guys are watching from, and then we will get some shout-outs going here. See some of the loyal AGT squad in the chat, like Tom Downey's burner account. He was hyping up the Orioles in the chat. Chase, we're actually going to talk a little baseball later in the show. You fired up for that?
I can't wait. I'm a big baseball guy. Major League Baseball and baseball in general is my first love. Growing up, I'd play in like 2-3 leagues per summer. So we thought, okay, we have a nice little audience and a niche with NFL, NBA, and college football, which is really growing really, really quickly. The latter of those three. Why not talk Major League Baseball, hot stove, and free agency? Because this MLB free agency class is loaded, so stay tuned for that as well.
Should be fun. We got Miami from Marcelo. Speaking of Miami, could the Hurricanes be looking for a new head football coach? We'll talk about that later on. Bryce is in Wisconsin. Tom Downey's burner says he's in D.C. right now. Go Wizards. Congrats to Tom Downey from Rashard Lee. Yes, Tom Downey, one of our fearless leaders here at Chat Sports, had baby number one. Everyone is healthy, mom, baby. That's all good to go. Congrats to Tom. We're all very happy for them. Rashard's also in Dallas, by the way. Clayton's in Jackson, Mississippi. Dominique is in Missouri. I'm seeing GB from Nicholas. You're in Green Bay? Okay.
Liz saying greetings. Greetings, Liz.
All right. Bryce Ward asks, am I a leader? I have no idea, because I've never met you, Bryce.
Are you a follower or a leader, Bryce?
There's two people
We'll
in this
consider
world.
you a fearless leader if you want to be one.
I mean, if you're part of the AGT squad, I mean, you're in that built different category, so that's kind of how that goes. Dusty is here in Dallas as well, so Desmond is up in Philadelphia, where Chase is from. Marquise is in South Carolina. Marcelo in Miami. Speaking of MLB, who's your favorite free agent? A lot of people laughing behind the scenes. I don't really know what's going on here. Just brutal. Favorite MLB free agent. Producer Jack is on the hot seat from what we've been told here at Chat Sports. He says he doesn't know what happened, so we'll just blame the computer for that one. Desmond says Philadelphia. Luka is easily better than LeBron from Dusty. That is our live poll question, by the way. Better player right now, LeBron or Luka? Both have been banged up as of late. I think it's an interesting question. It's about 60% LeBron in the early voting, so get your votes in on that. Let's see. Not getting a lot of MLB shout-out love here. How about Carlos Correa, Max Scherzer? If you had to pick one, Chase, best top free agent right now.
I think it's Carlos Correa. I wouldn't pay big money to a pitcher, especially the likes of Max Scherzer, who's in his late 30s.
37.
Clayton Kershaw coming off a lot of injuries. So I look at some of those players, mid-20s, late 20s, who I'd pay big money to. I really like Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber coming off a monster year, but Carlos Correa takes the cake for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's young, he's clutch, he's good on defense, he's got a cannon of an arm, and he seems to always come up big in the postseason, so that's pretty hard to deny there. So we'll see how that shakes out. What's your favorite holiday? We got Thanksgiving coming up next week, Christmas just around the corner. 'Tis the season to be jolly. So what is your favorite holiday? I'm a cliche Christmas guy. I know producer Jack is as well. Is that your answer, Chase? Just Christmas?
I like Christmas. I like all holidays. Any holiday where you can get together with your friends and family, reunite, relive some good memories, take down some drinks, get drunk and have some drunk laughs. I'm all about that life.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man. Drinking beers, watching football or basketball, depending on the holiday, let's ride. That's 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 kind of us on a weekly basis anyway. So
almost
there
daily
you go.
sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we do here at Chat Sports. Someone said Chris Taylor. That's a good name.
He's a good free agent. We have the complete list of the top 20 free agents in the description of this video if you want to see that.
Yeah, so for those of you saying, why don't you do baseball? Well, stay tuned because we're bringing you some baseball today. Marquis says Christmas. Clayton says Christmas. My birthday from Rashard Lee. Yeah, so your birthday's always a good answer. Let's get back to hoops. Level of concern with the Lakers. Scale it from 1 to 10. This is interesting, Chase. We'll dive into the Lakers a little bit deeper. And by the way, you new viewers that haven't been here before, the bottom ticker will kind of tell you what's on the docket, what segments are coming up. 8 segments today, so stay tuned. Keep an eye at the bottom of your screen from time to time. I'm at like a 7 or 8, dude. Like, I'm pretty concerned with where the Lakers sit right now. Obviously, LeBron will help when he returns, but is he still at the stage of his career where he can just cover a ton of issues? I think he can cover up some, but I've got some concerns with LA even when LeBron's back.
I'm a little bit concerned just because of what I've seen, and even when LeBron comes back, I don't know if this is the most well-rounded roster. They're also old. They lack athleticism. They lack shooting, too.
Yeah.
I do think that once LeBron comes back, he's going to be able to mask a lot of their flaws. Can he stay healthy long-term? We now have a couple-year sample size with LeBron in LA where he struggled to stay healthy, and I just think that this team isn't all that good. But when he comes back onto the floor, and if he plays like an MVP level, I'm never going to doubt LeBron James or the team that he's leading.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's proven people wrong time and time again. It feels different, man. The injuries have piled up for him the last couple of years. Scale it 1 to 10. Rashard Lee says a 10. Dusty says 9.5. By the way, Bryce Ward said NFL Thanksgiving. Look, Thanksgiving's great. Food, family, football. What else do you want? I mean, it's the dynamic trio right there. Clayton says 9. Juju Smith-Schuster. Jalen says 10. It's not good right now. It's definitely not good at this point in time. Spence is at a 7. LeBron is no longer the cure of all right now. I think that's fair, Clayton. I think if he can get back and carry this team to an NBA Finals run, it might be some of his best work of his career.
Yeah.
Especially having to deal with
I'm
Russell
still of the
Westbrook.
belief that if LeBron was healthy and AD was healthy last year in that first-round series against the Suns, I'm probably going with the Lakers to win that series.
Yeah.
I think they were the
agree
better
with that.
team than Phoenix, and then Phoenix went on to represent the West in the finals.
I'm mostly concerned because you're relying heavily on Russell Westbrook, and I think that's a bad idea in 2021. For you college football fans, should Manny Diaz get fired by Miami? Type Y for yes, type in for no. If you're not a college football fan, just spam Y in the chat because he should get fired. I mean, it's time for Miami to get some fresh juice into that program. I know Chase is not a Manny Diaz guy after he completely fleeced Temple a couple of years ago.
Manny Diaz is a total fraud. He's a total fraud. Takes that Temple job. He's like, you know what? I'm out. Peace. And I'm all about upward mobility. But when you take a job, at least stay there for a year. I know Mark Wright, he left, but still. Bad circumstances, bad move.
Yeah, well, he might get the short end of that stick coming up in a couple of weeks. Y for yes and for no. Bryce says yes. Dusty says yes. Again, if you don't know who Manny Diaz is, just type yes. I mean, that's how that goes. Liz says yes. Clayton says yes. L2 says I'm late. No, you're right on time, L2. You were right on time. Let's see. Don't spam it, L2. We got you. You're here.
I tagged you, L2. I said we haven't even started the show. It's all good.
L2. Jack's threatening to put you in timeout, which I don't want him to do that. So there you go. He's a little fiery after that fumble of a start, but it's all good. Ready for the real show to start. Type me in the chat. Spam it more than once, and we'll get into the latest NBA coverage momentarily, assuming the technology works. So type me in the chat if you are ready to get this party started. L2 says, I love you. Thanks, L2. Shelly says me. Bryce, me. Dusty, me. L2's a Bears now extraordinaire viewer, so there you go. Clayton says me. Dusty, me. Who wins Patriots versus Falcons tonight? I'm going New England.
Yeah, New England.
New England's rolling.
I think Atlanta could cover. The touchdown
what's that line? About 7.5?
It's about a touchdown line. I think
It's in Atlanta,
can
right?
cover coming off that Dallas debacle, short week as well. But I think the Patriots are one of the top teams in the NFL. I think they're a top 10 squad. I've been saying that the last couple of weeks, and people have been following suit. They finally realized what I've been saying for a month.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Clayton me, Liz me, Dusty me, Marquise me as well. Here we go. A lot of NBA coverage to get into. We get into this show. I was talking to my producer there. No big deal on that one. Let's start with the Sixers. And, yes, we have a Ben Simmons update. That's where we'll start any given Thursday. He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. This is Any Given Thursday by Chat Sports. We go live every Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. Let's get you guys caught up on the latest on Ben Simmons, because what the hell else are we going to talk about? I mean, this team has been kind of reeling of late. So let's talk about the off-the-court stuff, and that, of course, Chase, surrounds one Benjamin Simmons.
Yeah, Sam Amick with a really good article in The Athletic, and when he comes out with an article, when Shams reports on Ben Simmons, Woj reports on Ben Simmons, you have to listen, because I don't get into the agent-driven propaganda, but I think you can take a lot of stock in what guys like Sam Amick report, because they're very tapped into a lot of these organizations in the NBA. So basically, to summarize what that article did entail, a 76ers source said, quote, "This is a multi-year thing." So Ben Simmons, because he's under contract over the next couple of years, might not get traded until Daryl Morey gets a very good player back. We know that. Also, according to some reports, Simmons has been practicing and scrimmaging with St. Joe's University, which is in the Philadelphia area. And then also, Amick went on to say that the Sixers have a list of 30 players that they would trade Simmons for, but atop that list, some marquee players who we'll break down here in just a bit, Harrison.
Yeah, so you look at what Amick said as well in this write-up. It does not appear any deal will happen soon. As it stands, Simmons isn't going anywhere until Morey is able to swap him for a truly elite player. And yes, in case you wondered, the Sixers have an actual list of such names internally. Damian Lillard is not only on said list, but appears near the top. Ditto for Brooklyn's James Harden, the former Rocket with whom Morey tried unsuccessfully to reunite with him in January. And by the way, could come to Philly via sign and trade this summer if he decides to shock the basketball world and leave Kevin Durant behind. He also added this. Also high on that list, Bradley Beal. A source with knowledge of the list said there are approximately 30 players that would satisfy the Sixers in a Simmons swap, and there's an internal belief that a fair amount of them, let's say 5 to 10, could become available in the next year or two. This is interesting, Chase, but I think you and I would agree, James Harden being near the top of that list has looked awful this year. He's out of shape. He's slow. The new rules don't benefit his game because he's not getting to the free throw line. Now, could he actually be somewhat realistic now, considering how bad he has been? I think you would at least have to consider him still if you're Philadelphia, but this does not appear to be the same player at this point in time.
No, and he turned down that 3-year, $161 million contract extension this past offseason, and I think when I've watched James Harden this year, he looks disinterested, he looks slow, he looks out of shape, and also the changes of some of the offensive rules in the NBA have negatively impacted his offensive game. He's always been a guy who likes to draw fouls, get to the free throw line, and also create some space with his body. Hasn't been able to do a lot of that this year. Look, last week we talked about that Jake Fisher report about Ben Simmons not getting traded until after the trade deadline, which would mean next offseason. And now there's this report from Amick and a Sixers source saying this could be a little while. I think everything can change very, very quickly, especially in the crazy landscape that is the NBA. And I think that Ben Simmons has an opportunity to up his value. The Sixers might have more of a glaring need if they continue to struggle, even when Joel Embiid and Matisse Thybulle come back off the COVID list. And there are other teams out there who could look at the current construction of their rosters and say, you know what, we could use one of the best defenders, if not the best defender in the NBA. We could use a premier talent and passer like a Ben Simmons. Let's make a deal for him. So I'm not going to jump the gun and say that Ben Simmons is going to be a part of this organization and just not flat out play over the next couple of years. It is still my belief that leading into the NBA trade deadline, a trade is going to happen. But for James Harden to be atop the list, yeah, he looks like shit this year. There's no question about that.
Well, while Ben Simmons' future is very much undetermined, making money is something we should always strive to do, and you can do that with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Go to that link below, chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125. Put down $100, you can get $125 for free. Go bet on the NBA, the NFL, college football. It's fun. Producer Jack's a beginner this year, and he has made money this year. So, hey, anybody could do it. Chatsports.com/bet. Use our promo code CHAT125. This was pretty interesting, too, from longtime Philadelphia radio host Howard Eskin. Chase, I'll just read this and then we'll react.
Yeah.
I'm told Ben Simmons continues to work out, practice at St. Joe's at times with their team. So tell me why he can't practice and play with the Sixers. Would love an explanation from Benjamin, call him Ben Benjamin, and his agent Rich Paul. I assume playing with college player cures his mental illness. Also, the situation with the Simmons and the Sixers and the NBA is disgraceful, but Simmons may now have created an issue for St. Joe's basketball. I reported he at times is working out and scrimmaging with their team. That is also what I've been told is someone within the NCAA, that it could be an NCAA rules violation. And of course it is. You can't have an active NBA player routinely practicing with the college basketball team. What is Simmons doing? What is St. Joe's doing?
Yeah.
It's just a disaster.
Yeah, and it's funny because Howard Eskin, otherwise known as the King, has been a pivotal figure in the Philadelphia media landscape for a long time. I used to listen to him growing up because I'm from the Philadelphia area. Shout out the 610. But it's funny because Ben Simmons is telling the organization, I'm not mentally fit to play. Rich Paul does that interview with Shams Charania and says, my client isn't going to take the floor until he is mentally equipped to play. So he can't partake in practices or play games or go on road trips with the Philadelphia 76ers. But if this report from Howard Eskin, who always likes to stir the pot, is true, then why isn't Ben Simmons mentally fit to play with the Sixers, but he can play and partake in practices with St. Joe's? Ben Simmons continues to be a flake. Ben Simmons continues to be someone who I cannot trust. Ben Simmons is a player who I don't want as a part of my organization, and Daryl Morey has to get a deal done soon, and I think he can get an all-star caliber player back for him. Some players we'll talk about here in a few moments.
Yeah, we mentioned that reportedly they've got 30 players they're willing to trade Simmons for. So give us a couple names. Who do you think the Sixers should trade Simmons for? We've talked about a lot of these names over the last several months, Chase, but I think the fact that number is up to 30, if that's true, that should increase the likelihood of Philadelphia getting a deal done. That tells me they've expanded on the type of player they're willing to trade for. So let us know what you guys think that the Sixers could trade Simmons for in the upcoming future. So let's get to that part of this conversation, Chase. Bill Simmons on his podcast said that they turned down a Darius Garland plus Kevin Love combo for Ben Simmons. The Sixers turned that down. Could they trade him for a guy like Christian Wood? Simmons seems to think so.
Yeah, and look, if they turn down a deal for Darius Garland and Kevin Love, Love's been bad this year. Darius Garland has been really good. In the future, that might look like a bad trade turn down because Garland's been balling out as one of the better young offensive scoring guards in the NBA. You take a look at his numbers this year, north of 17 points per game without Colin Sexton in a lot of these games because he's down because of an injury. 6.5 assists. He's shooting north of 46% from the floor and 38% from deep. Darius Garland has been excellent. Kevin Love has not. Another down season for him. I'm of the belief, Harrison, that I think Kevin Love just needs a change of scenery. He needs to get out of Cleveland because his play has gone down and the injuries have gone up.
It's one of two things. That or he might just be done.
Yeah.
Like, it's possible
because of all those injuries.
It's nothing against him. It's just, I mean, he's in his 30s now. He's had a ton of injuries. He might just be done. I mean, he's a big guy who's had injuries pile up. That happens in the NBA. So maybe the Love aspect of that trade has been a turnoff for the 76ers front office. Christian Wood, a player you and I have talked about on NBA Now, our main Chat Sports channel before, he's been a great find for Houston the last couple of years. They signed him to a pretty team-friendly deal. He's a double-double machine. Now, he's not a huge name. He certainly doesn't have the ceiling of a Ben Simmons, but it would be interesting to kind of go big with him and Joel Embiid in this front court.
Yeah, no, and he's got a pretty interesting story. He went to UNLV as a pretty highly touted prospect. In 2015, he went undrafted. He actually spent some time earlier in his career with the Philadelphia 76ers and wasn't really able to find an NBA job. Played with the 87ers for a little while. But the last couple of years, he's turned into a really viable big man and a guy who last year was averaging around 20 points per game, a guy who can stretch his game out to the three-point arc. So if it comes to a situation where Daryl Morey is canvassing the landscape and they can't really find an all-star caliber player to trade Ben Simmons for, and you start to look at that second tier of guys, like a Colin Sexton, maybe even like a De'Aaron Fox, who I still think could be in that first tier. You're looking at guys like Christian Wood. I'd be intrigued by Christian Wood because of a couple of reasons. He could play the 4 as a stretch alongside Joel Embiid, but also with Embiid missing a lot of time over time because of all those injuries that he's dealt with over time, he could be a pretty good viable replacement at the 5 spot as well.
I wonder if you could get Wood and then one of those young pieces. You're obviously not going to get, I'm drawing a blank on the number 2 pick.
Jalen Green.
You're not going to get Jalen Green, but could you get one of those other young pieces on that roster? I don't think you'd get a Şengün, but could you get one of those other pieces? Maybe they could throw Eric Gordon into the deal as well.
A shooter.
To get an extra shooter, I think that could be pretty interesting when it comes to the Sixers. But all I know, we'll keep you guys covered if you subscribe. YouTube.com/76ers TV. Stay tapped in with the latest 76ers news and rumors. Who do you guys think the 76ers should trade Ben Simmons for? Let's get the live chat popping here. I want you guys debating throughout this live show. So let us know who you guys think Ben Simmons should get traded for. Who's your dream? Like a realistic trade in your eyes for Ben Simmons?
It would be the Damian Lillards of the world. It'd be a Bradley Beal, but the Washington Wizards are now atop the Eastern Conference, so I don't think that's realistic. I think Dame does want to stay in Portland. I also want to give up Tyrese Maxey and Ben Simmons for a guy like Damian Lillard. So I'd like to keep Maxey on the team and then look at other players, maybe like a CJ McCollum. I don't think Bradley Beal is available, a De'Aaron Fox, a Colin Sexton. I don't know. I've grown on DeJounte Murray over time. I think he's really good with the San Antonio Spurs, too.
Give us a couple shout-outs. I gotta change something real quick, so give some shout-outs, Chase.
Yeah, we'll give some shout-outs here. L2_Clouds in the chat. Richard Lee saying Russell Westbrook. If the Sixers traded Ben Simmons for Russell Westbrook, I can tell you the franchise would be bordering on disaster. Marquise Robertson, a big fan of what we do, going with C.J. McCollum. Bryce Ward, Simmons for Steven Adams and Brooks in a Grizz and 76ers trade. You know, Chris Vernon, who covers the NBA for The Ringer and the Memphis Grizzlies for the Regional Sports Network, did throw out Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, I wouldn't like that, but a Dylan Brooks, a Desmond Bane for a Ben Simmons, I'd really like that. I know you're a big Desmond Bane guy because you went to TCU.
He's cooled off recently, but I think he's a 3-and-D 13-year player in the NBA. I mean, that's just what he's going to be. So yeah, that'd be very interesting. I don't know if Memphis would want to split up some of that young core, but if you could get Ben Simmons re-engaged, that would certainly be very interesting. So we'll move from the Sixers to another kind of struggling situation, the Los Angeles Lakers. We've got a LeBron injury update coming up, so stay tuned for that and a whole lot more. It's Any Given Thursday by Chat Sports. Your boys Harrison and Chase here with you. We'll get you guys caught up on the latest around the Los Angeles Lakers, the purple and gold, including the Crypto.com arena. Stay tuned for that. But first, Chase, LeBron, is he coming back soon? He might be.
Who knows? He doesn't even seem to know when he's coming back. He's missed the last 8 games with that abdominal injury. Lakers have been really bad without him, and what do you expect? He's still one of the best players in the NBA. Reports that LBJ did indicate he could return on Friday against the Boston Celtics. Pretty good matchup between two of the most iconic franchises in the league, but when LeBron was asked if he would return on Friday, he said, quote, "I don't know. We'll see." Is that competitive advantage? I'm not sure. This isn't really like the NFL. But in his place, you know who's gotten the start over the last couple of games, 3 to be exact, it's been Talen Horton-Tucker, and he's played really well without the services of LeBron coming off that hand surgery. I can't believe how good he's been, Harrison. I understand it's a small sample size, but we really haven't seen Talen Horton-Tucker, otherwise known as THT, put up numbers like this throughout a multi-game span. 23 points per game since he came back off that injury, more than 7 rebounds, getting it done defensively as well, as Frank Vogel has talked about, and he's shooting 49% from the floor. So if you can get this type of THT for this Lakers roster full-time, it could be massive, because I'm starting to get a little bit concerned with this depth.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's, 23 and change is probably unrealistic, but if you could get 15-plus consistently from Talen Horton-Tucker, I think that's a big deal. I mean, this is why they kept him, right? This is why they did not trade him for Kyle Lowry at the trade deadline last year, because they saw this potential. They thought he could be this level of player. Hell, they didn't bring back a guy like Alex Caruso because they had to pay Talen Horton-Tucker in small sample size like Chase mentioned, but I think so far so good. I mean, 23 plus on 50% from the field. Let's ride if you're a purple and gold fan, because Talen Horton-Tucker is, 21 years old, 22 years old? I mean, he's got a very bright future, and if long-term he's a legitimate starter in this league, then you made the right decision. I don't think there's any doubt, because as great as Lowry would have been, especially last year, that could have helped. I mean, if you're getting a 12-year player here that's legit, that's probably the right call. And so far, he's stepped up recently as the Lakers have been dealing with some injuries, especially to LeBron.
Yeah, no question. And I think that's what's so important to monitor with Los Angeles is how is their depth going to step up? Because when LeBron comes back, he immediately gives the Lakers an injection into that starting five.
Yeah.
And does that then help the bench? Kent Bazemore has been straight up terrible. I'm almost at the point where I think Frank Vogel should take him out of the starting rotation once LeBron comes back, and then his minutes should start to diminish a little bit as well. We're also looking at a scenario where Los Angeles has dealt with a lot of injuries to a lot of these marquee players, like in LeBron, a Wayne Ellington, and Austin Reeves, Talen Horton-Tucker, Trevor Ariza. So I'm not going to hit the panic button just yet, but man, they need to be better, because late-game execution has been horrendous, and third-quarter execution, as Anthony Davis talked about, which we'll highlight here in just a bit, has been awful too.
While there's certainly been a lot of question marks to start this season, the start by THT has been impressive. If you're encouraged, type Y for yes, type N for no. Talen Horton-Tucker has been one of the lone bright spots so far this season. So let us know down in the comments if you guys are encouraged by what you've seen by Talen Horton-Tucker. And Laker fans, the holidays are just around the corner. Hell, Black Friday is just next week. And if you want to get this awesome Lakers hoodie for 40% off, usually it's $70. Right now it's just over $40. Go to the link below, chatsports.com/Lakers hoodie. We'll have it in the live copy in the description of this video as well on our Lakers YouTube channel. This is a sick hoodie for a great deal at 40% off. Chatsports.com/Lakers hoodie. Make sure you guys take advantage and, hey, do some Christmas shopping early. That's what I always like to say. Okay, so you kind of look at where the Lakers sit right now. 8 seed, 8-8, a lot of 8s. Shout out Kobe, but that's not where you want to be, right? The good news is the West, it feels a little top-heavy right now, so you're fine. You're still in that playoff hunt, certainly. And, I mean, that was kind of the goal, right? While LeBron is out, let's hover around 500, win some games, just don't go on a massive losing streak. The hope is once he gets back, you can make a push into the top 4.
And what I continued to say last year was, as long as LeBron James is healthy for the playoffs and as long as AD is able to get past his injuries, the Lakers are going to be fine. And throughout that first-round series, at least the first couple of games, you see them matched up with the Phoenix Suns, and you're like, Los Angeles is the better team.
2-1.
AD goes down, LeBron is still hobbled. And now you're looking at a situation where I think you can take the same approach where you're like, okay, if LeBron and AD are healthy, they're two of the top 5 to 10 players in the NBA. They're going to be all right. But the eye test shows you that without LeBron, they've been awful. And that's something that Anthony Davis had talked about recently as they just continue to struggle mightily, especially with Russell Westbrook, who really is just a roller coaster ride. AD saying, and being very honest, we suck. No defense. We can't score. That's not this third quarter. It's every third quarter that we played this season. We come out slow, lackadaisical offensively and defensively. We got to get it together. Why? I can't tell you why we're struggling, but we have to do a better job. We scored 12 points in the third quarter. He said this after that thumping of a loss to the Timberwolves. They scored 40. That's the game right there. We got to do a better job coming out in the third. Championship team, that's not us right now. We're not a winning championship team. The way that we're playing, we got to be better, and we got to care more for our wins at home and wins in general. Wow, I think that's pretty telling. That is a player who is noticing all of the struggles twofold.
I appreciate the honesty. We don't see this from athletes enough. That what do you constantly hear? Well, it's a process. It's a long season. AD, it's 18% or whatever into the season, is saying, guys, we stink.
Yeah.
Like this level of play can't continue. But again, you're 8-8. Like it's not like you're 4-10 12, and you're like, holy shit, we got a lot of ground to make up just to make the playoffs. You're in the 8 seed. Now, you want to be in the top 6 because you want to avoid that play-in tournament, which the Lakers had to play in last year.
Yeah.
They ended up beating Golden State in that Classic, but they easily could have lost that game. Then it would have been a do-or-die situation against a hot Memphis team. You don't want that to happen. Hopefully, they can get better, especially early on in these second halves, Chase.
Yeah, no question. It's really the third quarter. And what does that say? A lack of adjustments, a lack of motivation, a lack of being prepared. And AD had talked about those third quarter struggles back a couple games ago against the Timberwolves. And then last night, in front of a national audience, it's those third quarter struggles again. I think as a team, they were a minus 31 against Milwaukee. And I'll tell you this, there's so much chatter about AD being a top 5 player. When he's healthy, when he's engaged, he is. But Giannis last night gave him the absolute business, going off for 40-plus points, another double-double. You compare Giannis's game with AD. Last night, it wasn't even close. So we got to hold AD to a high standard, but when he underperforms, we have to call him out. And without LeBron James, AD really has just been okay.
And this is what I mentioned to you the other night when we were getting ready for AGT Live today. I was saying, guys, this Lakers thing is bad. I'm not convinced LeBron is just the glue to everything. Now, I'm not going to bet against LeBron if they get into the playoffs, all that stuff, but I've said for a few weeks, I think they need a lot of live reps together, this new trio of LeBron, AD, and Russ. I've noticed the injuries have piled up for LeBron, and while a fully healthier LeBron is still top 3 in the NBA, there's no doubt about it, I don't know if we should view him at 37 years old as just the savior, right? Like, yeah. I think it's fair to be skeptical of this team, even with the healthy LeBron. I think they're okay. They're staying afloat, but I don't know if LeBron just makes this team the favorites in the West all of a sudden. Like, I would have to see an extended sample size in the regular season for me to all of a sudden be, boom, that thing, the light has turned on for this group, and they can, go the distance. Because up to this point, I don't really see it, man. It's early, but that's kind of where I'm at with this group right now.
Yeah, we've spoken out about this. Now it's your opportunity to speak out and sound off in the comment section. So let us know your level of concern with the Lakers right now and scale it for us on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being not concerned at all because they haven't been playing with LeBron James, 10 being overly concerned. Get those votes in the comment section down below. Also time to talk about Kyle Kuzma because as we talk about this roster construction for Los Angeles, I think it's pretty clear that Tommy Shepard, general manager of the Washington Wizards, won this trade with LA. Now, there are a couple of reasons for this. Russell Westbrook was going in a downward trajectory last year before he got hot, and we've continued to see that maddening play from Russ. But also, Kyle Kuzma needed a change of scenery. I can make the argument KCP did as well. Montrezl Harrell didn't fit on this team last year. And now because of that burden being lifted off of Kyle Kuzma, he's been playing well for the Wizards, who are number 1 in the Eastern Conference right now with a 10-4 record as we record this on any given Thursday, of course live on Thursday, averaging about 14 points per game, Harrison, almost a double-double with nearly 9 boards.
Yeah.
He's shooting a decent 40% from the floor, 35% from distance. A lot of what you saw during his tenure with the Lakers, he was very up and down and inconsistent, but he's gone on some of these hot streaks that Laker fans were waiting for him to go on over the last couple of years, but being in the shadow of LeBron James, he wasn't able to do that, and he kind of talked about that recently.
Yeah, I mean, the efficiency is still not incredible, but he's getting consistent minutes and they're winning. This is kind of what I wanted, he said, an opportunity to not be in someone's shadows. And we kind of laughed at Kuzma the last couple of years when he would say, look, I just need consistent playing time. I need consistent playing time. We'd be like, okay, Kyle, yeah, play your role and shut up. Well, you know what? He's playing pretty well for a team that is, at least looking like somewhat of a contender early on. I'm not convinced it's sustainable in D.C., but listen, I mean, sometimes you need a change of scenery, and it appears that that has been the case for Kyle Kuzma in D.C.
And I think that's what he needed at the end of the day. When I watched Kyle Kuzma last year, he looked like a player who had no confidence. He seemed to have been broken. He didn't like playing in the shadow of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And I also think a player like that needs more touches because he's always been somewhat of a streaky, hot and cold player. So those types of guys just kind of need the ball in their hands at times. And he didn't have that with LeBron and AD. He had to play primarily off ball, and some nights he'd be asked to do a lot. Other nights he wasn't, and I don't think he was able to find his footing or a groove. He needed a change up in scenery, and I think you're seeing him benefit because of that.
Real quick, let's hit on this.
Yeah.
Crypto.com has invested $700 million over the next 20 years for the naming rights.
Largest deal ever.
Of Staples Center. Adios, Staples Center. You going to the Crypt next season?
Yeah, it's funny. Am I hanging out with the Crips or am I going to crypto? It seemed like Russell Westbrook didn't understand what he was being asked about when they were like, hey, crypto.com. He's like, what? Yeah, it's just weird for me because my entire lifetime, basically, I have known the Staples Center as the Staples Center. And it's iconic for so many reasons. Laker games, concerts, pop culture events. It's known as the hub of Los Angeles, and now it's going to be Crypto.com. We're peak 2021, moving on to 2022.
Money talks, baby. That's
Doge
all
to the
I got to
moon.
say. Hey, Doge,
Or
maybe,
not.
Maybe this will get me a little spike and I can cash out.
Yeah.
What's your one-word reaction to the name Crypto.com Arena? I will say this. We said this about Cowboy Stadium when they made it AT&T Stadium. No one cares anymore. We say it about This happens all the time, but Staples was kind of classic, even though, well, it's based off of sponsor
It's like
as
Madison
well.
Square Garden being called Doge Moon. You know, it just doesn't make any sense.
The Doge Dome.
You don't rename Wrigley Field and Fenway
Doge
Park.
Dome is
now, I
coming
know
next.
you probably don't really need Staples stuff
yeah.
anymore. You just get it off of Amazon. But
Crypto.com is coming, baby. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. All right, let's get some shout-outs here. Someone says, why? One word, Shiba. Yo, you still got your Shiba coin going in there?
Thumbs up.
Let's see. You can never regret trading away a Kyle Kuzma Kardashian. You can when you get Russell Westbrook. That's all I got to say. Look, at the end of the day, GM LeBron made a bad call in putting his eggs in Russ's basket, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a brutal decision. We're going to get into some more NBA stuff coming up. Marquis says, why? Someone says Kobe House. Kobe House sounds better, but it doesn't pay $700 million, unfortunately. So that's kind of how that goes. Someone says, because he wouldn't be the point guard, Simmons would play the 5. I'm not sure what that's in response to. Maybe someone else in the chat. Down below is what's coming up on Any Given Thursday Live. So next we will get into the Dallas Mavericks, a Luka Doncic injury update, plus they suffered a close loss last night. We'll break that down and a few more things as well. He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. It's Any Given Thursday by Chat Sports. So let's get into the latest around the Dallas Mavericks, Chase. First game without Luka Doncic, who we'll get to in a minute with his injury update, is in the books. A close one. Dallas outplayed Phoenix for quite a while, but Chase, if you were unaware, and I'm sure you follow these trends in sports all the time, there's certain matchups that just don't make sense. Dallas against Phoenix, whether they're good or bad, obviously they're good now, they can't beat them. They've lost 7 in a row, and I want to say like 11 of 12. They lose 105-98 in a game. Honestly, they probably should have won last night.
Well, and the Phoenix Suns, let's not take anything away from them. They've arguably been the hottest team in the NBA with all of those Robert Sarver allegations hovering around that franchise. I think they've been able to handle it well. But, yeah, it really doesn't make sense. You're watching this game, and you're like, okay, without Luka Doncic, everything's going through Kristaps Porzingis, Jalen Brunson playing really well. They have an opportunity to steal this game. Tim Hardaway was doing Tim Hardaway things, but then really in the fourth quarter, the game started to shift, and down the stretch, they really just choked this ball game away, giving up bad defensive lapses, offensively taking bad shots. It is one of those matchups that doesn't make a lot of sense. You're like, they match up pretty well, they were playing well, and then that game just really went down the toilet.
I don't know how to explain it. Dallas can't beat Phoenix. I don't know why. I mean, Phoenix didn't make the playoffs for 11 years, and the Mavs had a well below 500 record stretch against Phoenix in that time. There's no way to explain it. Jason Kidd went to a couple of weird X and O's things last night. He goes through this weird zone with a 4-point lead, and Phoenix cooks him for a couple of threes to take the lead. We saw Reggie Bullock miss a critical layup late in that game where he tried to go super acrobatic, and he should have just laid it in or dunked it. He is 6'6" after all. But there certainly were some positives, but I told you guys this last night, and you guys meaning Chase and some of the other Chat Sports office members, when you have a chance to steal a game in a game you're not supposed to win in any sport, and let's be clear, Phoenix on the road without Luka is not a game you should win, but when that game is there to win, you got to find a way because you know you're going to lose a couple that you shouldn't lose. that was a missed opportunity last night.
Yeah, and they let this one slip away. There's really no other way to put it. I do, though, like Harrison, how the defense has been playing under Jason Kidd.
Yes.
I like how Kristaps Porzingis, after a little bit of a slow start, he also dealt with that injury, how he's kind of come around a little bit, and how Jason Kidd is using him as more of a focal point offensively. That was even with Luka Doncic on the floor. So you lose this game, and the losing streak to Phoenix is certainly maddening, but I think you can find some positives in the developments that you've seen over the last week or two.
What is your guys' frustration level after this loss to the Suns? Scale it 1 to 10. At the end of the day, 6 or 7. I mean, it's not like it's a bad loss. I mean, it's a loss against a championship contender on the road, but now you got to play them again on Friday night.
Yeah.
Let's be real. You're probably going to lose that game. Luka Doncic, doubtful. We'll talk more about him in just a moment. So scale it 1 to 10, 1 being not frustrated at all, 10 being very frustrated. 6 or 7, had they lost normally, I'd say like 2 or 3, who cares? But the fact that they had a chance to win that game and didn't is a little bit frustrating. What's not frustrating is deals. We got one for you. Get this sweet Dallas Mavericks quarter zip jacket for 40% off. Usually it's $59.99. Right now it's $35.99. It's a hell of a deal. We'll have the link down in the comments and in the description as well. Chatsports.com/MavsZip. That is chatsports.com/MavsZip. Get this Mavs quarter zip jacket right now while it's on sale for 40% off. The holidays are here. It's a perfect present for your loved ones. Tons of sizes available as well. One more time, that is chatsports.com/MavsZip. Okay, let's get into the latest around Luka Doncic. Just a few minutes before we went live on Any Given Thursday, he was officially listed for doubtful for Friday night. Not surprising. Has a minor ankle and knee sprain. Did avoid structural damage when they went through the MRI and the X-ray, so that's a good sign. Kind of in that day-to-day, maybe week-to-week realm at this point in time. Did work out on Thursday, was interacting in shoot-around, got some shots up on Wednesday night. So he's moving around. That's a good sign. We'll see. They've got 3 more games on this road trip, Phoenix, and then 2 against the Clippers. We'll kind of look at the schedule coming up soon, Chase. But this could have been worse. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, it could have been much worse. Luka Doncic is a top 5 player in the NBA, and his numbers are down this year, but the numbers are still out the roof. The averages are really just insane. He's averaging almost 25 points per game, more than 8 boards, little less than 8 dimes, and shooting 43%. I think that figure is going to climb over time, maybe to 46, 47%,
Yeah.
but you lose Luka Doncic for any period of time, if it's a long time, that could prove to be disastrous because he really is everything with this Mavericks team.
Yeah, I mean, he makes this team go. The offense, he's gotten better as a defender every single year. He's improved as a vocal leader. That's something he talked about after getting that Supermax deal is he said, look, I'm a great player, but now I got to be an even better leader for this team, and he's done that throughout training camp and on into the season. I think he probably was a big reason why that him and KP got back on the same page because there was some friction there because, hey, at the end of the day, they need each other to succeed. But the good news is I don't think he's going to miss a lot of time. The bad news is this kind of comes at a crappy time because something we've talked about, Chase, is, okay, how will this group really play against increased competition? Well, they played their best game of the year, KP and Luka together, when they hammered Denver at home. I say hammered, about a 10-point win, but against an impressive Nuggets team. Now you're like, okay, how could this team do against Phoenix, the Clippers? Well, Luka gets hurt, of course, but hopefully he's not going to miss too much time. 4 of those 5 games on the schedule coming up are pretty darn difficult, and even Cleveland's playing pretty well this year.
Yeah, no question. I mean, the Suns are very good, hottest team in the NBA. Paul George, sneaky MVP candidate, no doubt.
And
He's been
Luka's
balling
the
out.
Clippers' daddy.
Exactly
so
right.
if,
Luka
he
always
doesn't
plays
play
well against the Clippers. Wizards, number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, they've been one of the more surprised teams in the NBA this year.
Yeah, and I mean, when the schedule came out, you were probably thinking Wizards and Cavs at home. Those are, as close to surefire wins as you can get in the NBA. Not anymore. I mean, those are not teams you can sleep on if you are the Dallas Mavericks. When will Luka return for the Mavs? Will it be during one of those 5 games? Not Friday night, like we're reporting. He is doubtful, but could he return before the end of this road trip? Let us know down in the comments on that one. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. It's youtube.com/MavsTV. And myself, Chase, the Chat Sports team will keep you guys up to date with the latest Mavs news. Rumors will continue to update you guys on this Luka Doncic injury situation. So keep it locked in here, youtube.com/MavsTV. One other thing I wanted to talk about here, Chase. Frank Ntilikina's emergence, re-emergence, whatever you want to call it, as we've seen him flash at times in his career, but not really pan out with the New York Knicks. He's played his way into this rotation. Chase was 3 for 3 from the three-point line last night, had 13 points off the bench in just 18 minutes. A big reason why Dallas was able to really control that game against Phoenix for quite a while. And you kind of look at what Ntilikina's doing here. In only 14 minutes per game, he's shooting 42% from three. The shot looks comfortable. We know what he brings to the table defensively. If you put up the per 36 minute stats there, which is a common, kind of metric in the NBA, you're talking 12, 13 points per game on 42% from the three. Now, more volume would probably lower the efficiency, but I think he deserves more than 14 minutes per game at this point. I mean, he is bringing some real juice to this lineup, and not just from an energy standpoint. He's knocking down shots, something he never did consistently with the New York Knicks.
What's been the calling card for the Dallas Mavericks? What has been their biggest structural growth as a franchise? It's been defense.
Yeah.
And for Frank Ntilikina, Frankie Smokes, what's been his calling card throughout his career? Defense. He's one of the best on-ball defenders across the entire NBA. He can guard multiple positions at a very elite level. But while he's a great defender, the gap in his game has always been offensively. It's been shooting. It's been the lack of consistency. If he's able to make strides in that department, nobody has ever denied Frank Ntilikina's talent. He has it. He just needs to be a better offensive player. Didn't get to showcase that in the Olympic Games and hasn't been able to really string together positive offensive performances throughout his NBA career. So if he starts to knock down some threes, stretch the floor, and give you that elite brand of defense, he can continue to be in this rotation.
So we'll ask you guys, should Ntilikina play more? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I think with Luka out, it's a perfect opportunity for Dallas to work him in 20, 22 minutes a game and see what he gives you. And then if he's playing well, once Luka's back, then you got more options, more flexibility. I think Jason Kidd should flirt with this idea. Let us know what you guys think down below. If you love the NBA, well, type me down in the comments. We got about 130 people watching live here on Chat Sports, so type me in the comments. And Dusty and Marquise definitely agree that Frank Ntilikina should get some more minutes. Coming up, we'll get into the latest Knicks and Celtics rumors, so stay tuned for that. But spam me. This is the best time of year, Chase. We've got the NBA going, NFL, college football
coming down.
The stretch run here. MLB offseason, the hot stove rumors are circulating. We'll do some MLB free agency stuff later. But hey, we all love basketball. So type me down in the chat, and Chase can get some shout-outs going.
Yeah, Bryce Ward, LOL. I love watching Chat Sports and trading on the ESPN trade machine. We do a lot of that, so I can see why you like tuning into us. So Veas, I would be willing to trade some pocket lint and Patrick Beverley for Russell Westbrook.
Pocket lint.
Okay. We also have a Kings fan in the chat who said, imagine being a Kings fan, this is coming from Pistol Pete, and seeing that Luka Doncic question in the live poll, better player right now. Vlade Divac blew it. He certainly did.
Total fraud.
Taking Marvin Bagley over Luka.
Vlade's a fraud.
Now, I don't know if Luka wanted to go to Sacramento, though. I wouldn't want to go to Sacramento
was some real chatter that Luka's team, kind of behind closed doors, was like, don't draft me, Sacramento. I'll just hang out in Europe. But still, I mean, it's pretty brutal when you think about it.
Luke Burns, Sydney, Australia. I have my family in Melbourne. Good day.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
What Sacramento should have done if that was true is they should have traded that pick to someone who wanted Luka, which is what the Atlanta Hawks ended up doing. So, hey, bad teams stay bad. What can I say? Let's talk about the New York Knicks coming up here on the show. They've been sliding as of late. We'll break that down for you guys. Let's get into some Knicks news and rumors here on Any Given Thursday by Chat Sports. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. with you. And by the way, you Knicks fans, you see the link below, youtube.com/KnicksTV. Make sure you guys subscribe for the latest Knicks news and rumors. We'll continue to bring you videos. We are closing in on 3,000 subscribers. Chase, this Knicks group is slowly starting to struggle a bit. They're 8-7 now, and they've lost 6 of their last 9 games. And what really stands out to me, they've lost to Orlando twice. Those are games you cannot be losing if you're trying to play for playoff positioning.
It's been a head-scratching stretch for the New York Knicks. They've lost 6 of 9. 2 losses to the Orlando Magic, which really makes no sense. And to start the year, I loved how they were playing.
Yep.
A free-flowing offensive style with pace, shooting a lot of threes. You never doubt the Tom Thibodeau defense, but the offense has gone in a downward trajectory. The defense has started to struggle. And I'm thinking more and more, you and I were having a conversation about this, that the Knicks have to make some changes to that starting lineup. Nerlens Noel has been in and out of the lineup. Mitchell Robinson has been good in spurts. I'm thinking with Obi Toppin, former top 10 pick, he's been playing well as kind of a screener and a roller. I think that he could inject some life and some energy into this Knicks starting 5 and do wonders for them offensively and defensively. He's been coming off the bench primarily and not even getting that many minutes. I just think he gives you a lot of options offensively because he can stretch the floor as a big. And I'm talking about starting him at the 5. He can stretch the floor by shooting some threes. He can be a roller. He can be a screener. He can be a guy who hovers around the rim to put back dunks. And I just think you can use him in a variety of ways offensively. At some point, given their struggles on both ends of the floor, you have to switch it up, and I think that could be the solution right there.
Yeah, I think a shakeup needs to happen, and I think Tom Thibodeau is probably going to make one soon because, look, our guy Marshall Green, who's a Knicks fan, loves the Knicks. He's told us for weeks this is the slowest starting team in the league. They're down at the end of every first quarter.
Yeah.
Well, who starts the game? The starting 5. So you need some different juice in there if you're Tom Thibodeau. That doesn't mean that if you bring, say, an Evan Fournier off the bench or a Kemba Walker or whoever, that player can't play 28, 32 minutes. You see 6th, 7th men all the time play more minutes than certain starters, but you got to start faster. You can't constantly play out of holes. I think there's a stat out there, Chase, since this stat has been kept. The team that is winning at the end of the first quarter historically wins like 70% of games.
Yeah.
You got to start fast in the NBA. You just cannot get behind and consistently expect to win. So I would make a shakeup. I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's at the 5, go small like you're saying, or if maybe you make an Evan Fournier super 6th man or something like that. But I do think that you got to bring some different energy into this starting group, and a guy like Obi Toppin is the definition of energy, so that would be very, very interesting. Who do you blame for the Knicks' recent skid? Let us know down in the comments. I don't know if you can blame it on one individual player or a coach or anything like that. I think there's just not a lot of rhythm and flow right now, and you got to kind of force your way out of that. So let us know down in the comments, who do you blame for the Knicks' recent skid? One thing I will say, and I saw in advance, I think that account StatMuse, you follow that on Twitter, they always tweet out, kind of weird like extended stretch stats and trends and things like that. 2 players that they focused on over the last 7 games, Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker. So let's break this down a little bit here, Chase. We look at Fournier first. Over the last 7 games, 7.4 points per game, 37% from the field, nothing from 3 at 22.5%. He's played 5 total minutes in the fourth quarter over the last 7 games, and he's been benched for the entire fourth quarter in 6 of 7 of those games. So you're thinking, okay, one of your starters is in a slump, no big deal, right? Well, actually 2 of your 5 are. Kemba Walker, same deal. The point's slightly higher, but the field goal and 3-point percentage is brutal. Not playing in the fourth, benched in 5 of these 7 games in the fourth quarter. So it kind of circles back around, Chase, to the idea of you probably got to make a change to your starting 5 and just change the energy, if nothing else, because when 2 of your starters are playing at this level, it can't continue. What's the definition of insanity? Keep trying the same things and it's not working. So I think you got to mix something up.
Well, it's certainly been tough to watch. The Knicks just free fall late in games, but we posed that question moments ago. Who would you blame? Is it Evan Fournier and is it Kemba Walker? Evan Fournier signed that monster 4-year, $73 million contract in NBA free agency, and he's not even playing in the fourth quarter. He's averaging 7 points per game over a large sample size. Kemba Walker's getting paid $10 million a year, and to start the year, it looked as though, okay, he's going to be rejuvenated coming back to his home city of New York, since he grew up in the Bronx, had so many special moments inside Madison Square Garden. He's been unplayable. So too has Fournier. So if I'm looking for guys to blame, it's Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. But who do you guys think is the bigger disappointment among these two? Because expectations were high for both. Kemba Walker, type KW. Evan Fournier, type EF. Get those votes in the comment section, and be sure to subscribe to New York Knicks Now here at Chat Sports, because we're closing in on 3,000 subscribers.
Yep.
We hit you with the latest Knicks news, Knicks rumors, game recaps, and everything that happens with this franchise. We have you covered, including a little bit of a slide from Julius Randle. Really, everything has been tenfold with this franchise. Bad offense, bad defense, lack of adjustments, and some of the key players who started the season well, looked as though you had some depth, have slid off and are really struggling right now. That's why I don't think this is going to last, because I think these guys are good enough players to end this dull.
It's really hard to win when 3 of your starters are playing their worst basketball of the season.
No question.
I mean, it's very unlikely for this to happen. I mean, we talked about this with the Celtics recently. It's like all their dudes are having career low numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it just can't continue, right? I mean, Julius Randle, it's only 4 games, but guys, 12.5 points per game for a $30 million per year player, that's not going to cut it. The efficiency is brutal, under 34% from the field, less than 30 from 3. You paid him to be much better than this at the end of the day. Hopefully this changes soon, and I think you're right. I think it will. It's just unfortunate that all these guys are struggling at once.
Yeah, this is a weird circumstance where everybody on the roster is struggling, from the coaches on down to the roster. For Julius Randle, he was the most improved player last year for a reason. This guy grinds. This guy is always in the lab. This guy is dedicated to improving his craft. He's just going through a little bit of a lull right now and struggling to really put the biscuit in the basket. That's what it really comes down to. What he's playing like right now reminds me of how he played in that first-round series last year against the Atlanta Hawks. He could just not buy a bucket, but I think Julius Randle works too hard to struggle for a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's paid to be better. I mean, fair or not, once you get that kind of contract, that's the standard. And I don't blame Knicks fans if they're a little bit frustrated. And you mentioned it. We saw this in the playoffs last year. The Knicks added enough talent around Julius that he doesn't need to press. He doesn't need to feel like he has to score every time down the floor. And I think at times we've seen that where it's like, man, I got to get us a bucket here. It's like, no, you don't. Like, play within the offense, let things flow. And when you get hot, yeah, you do your thing. You don't have to go ISO Julius the entire time now. Let's get the efficiency up, and hopefully some more ball movement can help some of these other guys play at a higher level as well. Because I think the ball's sticking a little bit right now. You see that when players start to struggle, the ball movement goes away. That's what was happening early in the year, Chase.
Everybody gets indecisive.
Everybody's getting involved.
Yeah.
Now it's the opposite. Now it's like, okay, let's just dump it to Julius and hope he can save us. You can't do that. You gotta. He's a good player, but he's not Kobe, where it's like, hey man, just go get 40 for us. Like, I think you need to play within the offense. I'm not worried. I think it's a small sample size. Are you guys worried about Julius Randle? Type Y for yes, type N for no. But I do think this needs to change pretty quickly. Get some shout-outs on this one. Oveus says no. Maybe in the playoffs from him. Yeah, I mean, certainly, Chase, that's something he's going to have to prove come playoff time. That last year was just a fluke, a bad series. He needs to play at a higher level than that.
Yeah, he was basically rendered useless in that playoff series. It was really weird because really after the All-Star break, he had emerged, and I don't think it was hyperbolic at the time, as a legitimate MVP candidate. Yeah. And then he goes in that playoff series with the Hawks, and he couldn't do anything. So
I think the problem with Julius compared to other stars, and he's not a superstar, but he's a star, all-star, his bad is pretty bad.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Other stars' bad is still decent, and I think it's like, how does he close that gap to take that next level where when he's off, he's still giving you a lot, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that is the kind of the next level for him. But at times when he's bad, it's just like, dude, like here, it's a net negative.
It ain't it.
And that's a big problem. Let's see. Marquise blaming Evan Fournier, by the way. Yeah, he can't be making $18 million a year and shooting 22% from three for a 7-game stretch. That's not going to cut it. But let's talk about the Boston Celtics. They're next up here on Any Given Thursday, and we will get you guys caught up on that squad right now. Before we get into today's Celtics news and rumors on Any Given Thursday, Harrison Graham Chase Sr. with you. Make sure you guys subscribe, youtube.com/CelticsTV. I'm not going to lie, some other NBA channels are bringing the heat a little bit more than Celtics fans right now, so you got to subscribe, get live in the comments, and be like, hey, no, we want more videos. That's how it works here at Chat Sports. The videos that do better, the channels that are balling out, those are the videos we do channels for. So I'm challenging you guys to bring the heat. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll continue to plug out more content. All right, Chase, this is an interesting one. Could Boston trade for De'Aaron Fox? Get us caught up on what Sam and Meek had to say.
Yeah, really interesting because the Kings are off to another bad start, and it seemingly, we say this every single year, but they're 6-9 to start the season. Luke Walton has not gotten a vote of confidence from ownership. They said if this slide continues, he's going to get fired. And we knew going into the year that Luke Walton was going to be on the hot seat. But Sam Amick saying that the Kings have grown to be a little bit concerned about De'Aaron Fox's fit next to Tyrese Halliburton. I love the selection of Tyrese Halliburton last year. You also have Donovan Mitchell, who won that national championship with Baylor, one of my favorite prospects from the 2021 NBA draft class, as maybe the future backcourt for Sacramento. What would that mean? That De'Aaron Fox could potentially be on the trading block and on the chopping block for Sacramento if they struggle and if they continue to just play bad basketball. His numbers are also down precipitously from last year, where he really emerged onto the scene as one of the best young point guards in the NBA. And a reason we're talking about De'Aaron Fox, Sam Amick basically indicating he could be had in a trade. And right now, Harrison, what is the biggest need on the Boston Celtics? Point guard. Now, with Fox struggling this year, could his value be going down just a bit, making him a little bit more gettable in a trade? Last year, a monster year, 25 points per game, 7 assists. He shot almost 48% from the floor, 32% from deep, which has to get better, and a pretty good defensive player because he's a quick twitch guy. This year, though, the points per game down from 25 to 20, the assists per game down by 1, the field goal percentage has gone down like it has for a lot of guys across the NBA because of the change of basketball and rules from almost 48 to 42, 3-point percentage, a putrid 24, still giving you about a steal and a half per game. But when I look at De'Aaron Fox, I don't think that he's damaged goods. This is what I do know. He'd be great for Boston. And I think that if the Celtics could have him in a trade, you got to start to explore it because they are bereft of a point guard presence right now. I don't like Marcus Smart and this experiment with him playing point guard. He's not a floor general. I don't like his vision. I don't like his passing ability. He's already been frustrated with his offensive role. Well, Marcus, you're not going to be the main offensive cog when you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox, I think, would open up a lot for the Celtics offensively. I'd be all in if I'm general manager Brad Stevens.
Yeah, I mean, De'Aaron Fox reminds me of like a much better Darren Collison in the sense that you could just run and gun with them, running point guard. I mean, you get him and Brown and Tatum on the wing, unless one of those guys would have to be involved in a trade. I'm not sure I would trade one of them for Fox. If you could get him without trading one of them, I think that would be tremendous with those three guys getting up and down the floor. The lack of point guard is a problem. We continue to talk about it. It's glaring at this point. Marcus Smart ain't it. Doesn't mean he's not a good player. It just means he is not a point guard. He never has been. I don't know why they paid him to be one. I think that is an error in judgment from Brad Stevens in this front office. You don't pay an energetic player almost $20 million a year and try to make him your full-time point guard when there's no evidence that he can be that. Can he play it in a pinch? Can he play it 5 to 7 minutes a game? Sure, but he's not a full-time point guard. Here's what Sam Amick had to say on De'Aaron Fox, quote, "No issue has been more glaring than the struggles of a franchise centerpiece, De'Aaron Fox, who has had a major decline in production. His comfort level in the starting lineup with Tyrese Halliburton is, it would seem, becoming an early concern." And that's troubling from Sacramento's side of things, Chase, because A, you drafted Halliburton, and he ain't going anywhere playing on that rookie contract. But B, you paid Fox. I mean, you paid him to be a centerpiece for that franchise. So if you're Sacramento and you think, well, if we trade him, Halliburton's numbers are just going to go up. We could get something for him. Might be something you consider on that side of things. So maybe a team like Boston, who is starving for a point guard, could get in the mix. Maybe they could trade Marcus Smart, a future couple of first-round picks or something like that to get him.
And it just didn't make sense, the approach that Boston had going into the offseason. we knew that they had a need at starting point guard, and they elected to go with Marcus Smart and pay him $75 million when he's never played point guard before. And then you look at the roster and you're like, well, we have Peyton Pritchard as a backup. Let's also bring in Dennis Schroeder for $5.9 million. We're going to talk about Schroeder coming up because he can be a point guard replacement. He's also playing really well, but I like him better coming off the bench or as a spot starter.
He's not really a floor general type.
No, and neither is Marcus Smart. That's my biggest issue.
Schroeder's a combo.
You need a Rondo type of player. Now, De'Aaron Fox isn't that. He's a lot flashier than a Marcus Smart or a Rondo. But I think that he would open up a lot of offensive opportunities. And for opposing defenses, imagine trying to plan for a team with Tatum, Brown, Fox.
Those are 3 elite athletes, all on the same side of the court. What would you guys give up for Fox? Send in your trade ideas down in the comment. I'm not trading Tatum or Brown for him, but would I trade Smart and 2 first-round picks for him? I might do it, man, because I know I'm getting a 20 to 23
Marcus Smart
point
goes
scorer.
from Boston to Sacramento.
Oh
boy.
God.
That's where careers go to die, folks. Sacramento.
Well, it's on life support, and you don't want to be in Sacramento if
No.
you're on life support. That is for sure. Let's transition here to Dennis Schroeder, who we do want to give props to. The guy did lose $78 million, folks. Let's try and be a little bit nice to him. Hey, he's been a nice find for Boston. I've always loved him as a 6th man.
You think the Lakers would rather have Schroeder than Russell Westbrook right now?
Yeah, because they'd have him at $21 million per year, which is what they offered him, and they would have saved about $20 million because Russ makes what, 42?
Yeah.
Yeah, brutal for the Lakers.
Hey, you know what's not brutal for the Celtics? It's paying Dennis Schroeder $5.9 million so far to average 17 points per game, 5 dimes. He's shooting 44%. And he's never really been a lights-out three-point shooter, very streaky in that regard, shooting around 33% from beyond the arc. 15 games, 9 starts, and this is the perfect role that I envision for Dennis Schroeder. He has competed for the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award in the past, but when you need him to start in a pinch, he can start and give you that little influx of energy. He's played well. Marcus Smart has not. And this is where we get back to that conversation of, do you trade for De'Aaron Fox? Because you don't have that aforementioned point guard on the floor. You're paying Marcus Smart way too much money to turn in clunker after clunker, which is what he's done for Boston this year. Look, Marcus Smart as a cultural figure, great. Defensive player, very good. As a guy who is a bulldog, you want to be with him in a back alley. You don't want to play alongside him when he's chucking up bad shots, shooting 35% from the floor, 36% from distance, and just making dumb play after dumb play. That's what you don't want.
Those numbers ain't it. You know what even more so ain't it? Paying a glue guy almost $20 million a year.
Yeah.
You can't do it, man. I don't care how much you love the player. I don't care how much you love the guy and the energy he brings to your franchise. You can't pay guys that are just energy bunnies 4 years and $77 million. His last contract of 4 years and 52 or whatever it was, 13 a year, that feels about right when he's playing his best basketball. But I think almost, Chase, that contract gave him some sense of that he needs to be some bigger and better player within this offense. And it's like him chucking up more shots is not what the Celtics need. It's not good whatsoever. And now you're stuck with this contract unless you can move him for a piece like De'Aaron Fox.
And the thing that annoys me is that he's going to complain about his offensive role when he is making plays that aren't winning plays, and it just doesn't translate to getting victories, which is what the Boston Celtics have not been able to string together. And I appreciate being a competitor. I appreciate being very passionate about the game. That's how Marcus Smart is wired. But you also have to have a little bit of an ego check, right? And understand that you're playing alongside Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So if you have to sacrifice offensive shots and opportunities on that end of the floor, that's what you have to do. Put the ball in the hands of the elite playmakers. That's what Tatum and Brown are.
We're trying to be an elite channel here on YouTube. 10,000 is the goal ASAP. So if you want to help us get there, subscribe. It's youtube.com/CelticsTV. We're closing in on 8,000 subs. Help us get there, and as we continue to grow, we'll be able to plug out more videos. All right, so send in some trade ideas for De'Aaron Fox. What do you guys think? You agree with me? Tatum and Brown can't go in a trade for Fox, right?
No.
They're too good.
No chance. No, you'd have to give up.
You'd have to get Fox and Hield,
Honestly,
and even then, I still probably wouldn't.
Schroeder is a nice little tradable asset because he's not making much money, and if the Kings wanted to pay him long term, you just extend him if you do trade for him.
Or if nothing else, their cap space for this upcoming offseason increases by like $30 million.
A Romeo Langford, Aaron Nesmith.
Oh God.
Does Sacramento want to take a chance on them?
I mean,
maybe with Grant Williams in the front court as well.
Robert Williams.
I mean,
13 a year.
He's under contract.
I mean, the problem with Robert Williams in Sacramento is he's just a worse Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so it's that's what's so weird about Boston, dude. We talked about it. You need a point guard. You need a better big. Oh,
they didn't get either.
Let's just pay Marcus Smart and Robert Williams. They're guards and bigs. No, they were already on the team.
Bad roster construction.
Just brutal for a franchise that for a long time has been run very well, but the end of the Ainge era had some questionable decisions, and I think Brad Stevens early on made some questionable calls as well. Someone says, I'm giving up Chase for Fox. No, he's untradeable. He's got a no-trade clause here at Chat Sports. So that's
I can't go anywhere.
Hey, he negotiated that coming out of PA. That's for sure. So appreciate you guys. Hey, how about this? We got any baseball fans in the chat?
Yeah, baseball fans, stand up.
You want any more MLB content? Let's go to this one, Jack. Like this video. Hit that thumbs up icon. We're trying to gauge our audience. We don't do a ton of MLB videos. We've done some in the past, especially big events. Done a couple of live draft result shows for you guys. We've done MLB trade deadline stuff. We did a watch party with producer Jack and Marshall Green when the Red Sox played the Yankees. That was a lot of fun. We'd like to do more. Chase and I love talking some baseball, but we got to go by what the audience and the analytics on our channel say.
John Kruger, baseball, L2 Cloud saying me, Shelly Dahlman,
type me as well.
Cat,
like the video and type me if you want some more baseball content.
Tom Downey burner account, go Orioles. He's one of the last remaining fans left in the world.
See, then you see comments like this, though. Walking bucket, no one likes baseball but old heads. See,
okay, boomer.
That's just not true, man.
But I will say that's why we can't fully commit to doing full-time baseball videos when, some of our audience thinks that way.
Too many boomers.
Go Braves, go Jays. I love baseball. I don't love the way the game has trended in recent years, but I'm definitely.
How about the analytical nerds just devaluing innings pitched? It's just ridiculous in the Cy Young Award race.
It bugs me.
Zach Wheeler should have won.
It bugs me that modern teams completely run games based on what a computer says.
Yes.
You have to have a feel for the game. And
it's brutal.
That's what pisses me off. But I'm seeing some people excited in the chat. Yes, go Red Sox from I think that's Jack's mom in the chat.
Nice. Chris
she's stopping in here. Pretty easy to social distance at an Orioles game. That's pretty good.
That's good.
From Tom Downey's burner account. Go Dodgers, Rams, and Lakers. All right, there seems to be some excitement here around
We're ready
baseball.
To get to
so,
it.
hey, we're going to talk some baseball here on any given Thursday. Let me get to the right spot in the script here. You guys are also going to see Jack Lauderay, our producer, join us a little bit here. So, you guys ready to go?
Let's
ride. Good?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it, man. On today's show of Any Given Thursday, we are going to break down the latest MLB hot stove, the rumors, the top free agents available. But hey, we want to gauge the audience. We just asked some of you guys live, but now we're asking again. Like this video if you want more baseball content. We can only go based on what the audience tells us. If we get a lot of love on this video, a lot of views, a lot of likes, a lot of subs, hey, we can do some more videos for you guys. Easiest way to show your support for baseball, like this video, and hey, maybe we'll do some more MLB videos. Okay, we're going to get to the top 20 remaining free agents in a second, Chase, but get us caught up on some of the big moves that have happened early on here in MLB free agents.
A couple of big ones to get to. Jeff Passan tweeting this out the other day that right-hander and former New York Met Noah Syndergaard and the Los Angeles Angels are in agreement on a one-year, $21 million contract pending a physical. You're probably asking yourself, why just a short-term deal for Noah Syndergaard? Dealt with a lot of arm troubles the last couple of years, Tommy John to be specific. But from 2015 to 2019, a World Series run sprinkled in there. He was an excellent pitcher.
Yep.
Big-bodied right-hander who throws really hard, 47 and 30 during that span. He was a workhorse, too, alongside Matt Harvey, 716 innings pitched, a 3.31 ERA, also a strikeout machine with that overpowering fastball that could reach triple digits, 775 Ks during that time as well. From one elite pitcher to another who is a shoo-in for the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, that is Justin Verlander. His brother, fittingly, Ben Verlander, breaking the news on Wednesday that Verlander's going back with the Houston Astros. Harrison, I know this is your squad, and back in 2019, threw a no-hitter, was old then too, and is still old, but had one of the best single seasons that we've ever seen from a pitcher. These numbers, straight up filthy. Now, Verlander signing a one-year deal to go back to the Astros as they try to chase another World Series.
Player option on the second year.
Player option on the second year. Had a workout in front of some scouts a couple weeks ago and was throwing 95-96 after undergoing elbow surgery. But in 2019, this goes to show you what he's capable of. 34 starts, 21 and 6, 223 innings pitched. What I find crazy here, 300 Ks in those 223 innings and a 2.58 ERA.
He got re-energized after the Tigers fell apart. Of course, that infamous waiver trade for Verlander. I should say famous because the Astros won a World Series. Controversial or not, he definitely was a big deal when Houston got him in 2017, and then you just saw the numbers for 2019 when they lost that year in the World Series as well. Coming off a World Series run for Houston, they get their ace back after he did not pitch in 2020. Also, Eduardo Rodriguez, he's heading to the Detroit Tigers. Former Astros manager A.J. Hinch trying to invigorate his culture in that roster. 5 years, about $80 million. So Rodriguez getting the bag from Detroit.
What's interesting, too, is that the Tigers are undergoing a rebuilding process. They give Eduardo Rodriguez big money, and I think Carlos Correa, the free agent shortstop, mega superstar, I think he could go to the
Detroit's
Tigers
a dark
as well.
horse.
Dark horse for them to land him as well.
Yeah, A.J. Hinch and Correa have a really tight-knit relationship. One more, Brandon Belt, qualifying offer, 1 year, $18.4 million. Has he accepted that?
Yes, he's going back to the Giants.
Back to the Bay. He will stay with San Francisco. Let's be honest, he's never playing anywhere else.
No.
Brandon Belt in a
he's
different
a perfect
uniform,
Giant.
He would be very, very look a little weird in a different uniform. It's like when Bumgarner left to go to Arizona. That
Weird.
didn't make any sense.
Just didn't fit.
Didn't fit.
No.
He's not chugging 5 beers in Arizona. I'll tell you that right now. So we'll get you caught up on the top 20 remaining free agents, but we got some gear available for you guys. So when you go to the link below, chatsports.com/MLB gear, that will take you to our sponsor's website, Fanatics, and you can just click on your favorite team and go search for different gear. We got hats available for all 30 MLB teams, jerseys available as well. We got t-shirts. Are you a Braves fan, you want to rep your World Series squad, you can certainly do that as well. All these different styles, a lot of them available for different teams, and tons of other gear as well. Socks, you can get pinstripe type of pants and jerseys as well. All kinds of different gear is available for you guys at chatsports.com/MLB gear. That link will be in the comments. It'll be in the description. So check that out because the holidays are almost here. We're going to bring in our producer, Jack Lauderay, who is maybe the top baseball head here at Chat Sports. People are talking here, Chase. Jack, I know you're fired up to talk some baseball. You were leading that watch party a couple of months ago. Big free agency pool this year. Should be fun.
Yeah, and I think that this is a really compelling class of free agents because the last few years it's been a little underwhelming.
For sure.
You know, we had like Trevor Bauer last year, a few other big names, but we got like 20 guys or 20 to 25 guys that we're going to talk about today.
The list is like 30 deep for sure.
It's really, really impressive, and we're going to get into these guys right now.
All right, let's start breaking them down. We alluded to Carlos Correa. You could argue him, Seager. Those are the top two. Certainly Max Scherzer down there, Chase. But Correa and Seager, you're talking big money. Correa has already turned down a 5-year deal from Houston for $32 million per year. What does that tell me? He wants an 8 to 10 year deal. So we'll see if Houston's willing to comply. I think he's going to be elsewhere. Teams in the mix: Yankees, Tigers. I think the Dodgers could sneakily get in the mix. Any others that stand out as a possible fit for Correa?
Those are the teams, and it's funny because Correa kind of dished or dissed, I should say, Derek Jeter and his defensive ability with the gloves, saying, yeah, he shouldn't have won any of those gold gloves. It'd be funny if Carlos Correa is then a ladder replacement for Derek Jeter. I think the New York Yankees could go with a short-term option there, but the Yankees are always in play because they're very aggressive. The San Francisco Giants, according to some reports, not really overly impressed with what Chris Bryant did in the outfield and at third base. He was just okay, but with the Chicago Cubs, he was awesome. He's going to get big money either way. A little bit weary of paying Max Scherzer big money because he was complaining about a dead arm in the playoffs. He's also 37 years old right now. Trevor Story, another intriguing name.
I'd probably do what the Astros did with Verlander, 2 years, $50 million for Scherzer with a player option on the second year. He's still worth 25, 28 per year, but you can't give him more than 2 years. I mean, he's 37 years old. Story, a big shortstop class with Correa and Seager. We look at those two guys side by side here. The regular season stats certainly benefit Seager on this front, but Correa, Chase, been one of those guys that come playoff time, postseason, he's one of the clutcher players in the last 10 years or so.
He's so clutch, and I like the age for both of these players. Corey Seager has missed some time the last couple of years because of variance of injuries. I'm siding with Correa here. He's got the postseason experience. He's so clutch in those moments. He's awesome with the glove. So too is Seager. But I think Correa is better with the glove than Seager. He's a natural-born leader. And when it comes for postseason time in October, this guy always rises to the occasion and plays excellent baseball defensively and offensively. The numbers speak for themselves. 279, 366 OBP, an OPS of 850, which is solid, 26 jacks, 92 ribbies. So it's kind of a competition between these two guys. Who will go where, but also who is the best? Your opportunity to hop on board and join the show. And if you're new to us here at Chat Sports, we're a very interactive YouTube channel, so we love hearing from the audience. Pick one among these two. Type CS for Corey Seager, CC's for Carlos Correa. Get those votes in right now. Jack, what do you think?
Yeah.
Give me Corey Seager.
He's a Seager guy.
Look, it comes down to the numbers for me. And I know that the numbers aren't everything. I know you got the eye test, things like that. I'm looking at the strikeouts here. Carlos Correa last year, 116. Corey Seager, 66.
Yeah.
And if you looked at that,
games, but still.
Yeah, and if you looked at the comparison, Seager had better numbers as well. Now I get it. Correa is an electric player. He is clutch. He does great things in the postseason, but Seager does as well. He had a few clutch hits in the postseason, and he's got the potential to also be a leader, but he's not asked to be that on this LA team that is stacked. I mean, I would take Seager in this situation, but that's just me.
You can't measure the juice Carlos Correa brings.
That's what I'm saying.
To a stadium. I mean, H-Town becoming a baseball town the last 5 years, largely due to Correa's energy. I truly believe that. You can't measure that stuff. Look, it's close. I mean, they're both great players, and they're going to be paid handsomely because of that. But it'll be fascinating to see how this plays out. Unlike years past, Chase, players are signing quickly here. I mean, what was the year? Dallas Keuchel didn't sign until mid-June.
Yeah.
The middle of the season
Bryce
a few
Harper
years ago.
didn't sign a couple years ago, 13 years, 330 until the start of training camp.
Yeah, let's get these signings done so we can talk about them here on Chat Sports, which is why you should subscribe. We told you guys, like the video if you want more baseball coverage. We're no stiffs. We're no frauds here. We're doing it all here at Chat Sports. Subscribe for more videos. 270,000 subs is just around the corner. The link is down below, youtube.com/chatsportstv, and we'll keep you guys up to date with the latest around the NFL, NBA, college football, maybe some baseball if we get a lot of subs on this video, so this is your chance. We'll go a little quicker as we get to some of the little lesser names. Marcus Semien, again, another middle infielder. Chase, you got Javi Baez at shortstop, which some are high on, some not so much. Who stands out of this group that also includes Robbie Ray, Kevin Freeman, and Kevin Gausman as well?
Well, for me, it's Freddie Freeman. Look, I know he's 32 years old, but this guy is on track to make it into the Hall of Fame, and all he does is produce. And he helped produce for the World Series champion Atlanta Braves, able to win that World Series for the first time since the mid to late 90s. And his numbers over time have been excellent. He won the MVP 2 years ago in that COVID-shortened season. I love Freddie Freeman, and I love what he brings to an organization from a cultural standpoint. For me, Javi Baez is far too streaky. I still think Freddie Freeman has a lot of gas left in the tank. Last year, 300 average, OPS of 896, which was down from that MVP campaign, but still very good. 31 jacks, 83 ribbies. When this guy is at the plate, I'm always a believer he's going to be able to come through.
So what do you guys think? Because a lot of big-name free agents that could or could not return to their current teams, Correa, Freddie Freeman. Will Freeman return to the Braves. Type Y for yes, type in for no. I'd like to see it. Atlanta has a little bit of a window here, Chase, where they can maybe string together a couple of runs. They didn't even have Acuna this year. I mean, imagine if he was available. So type Y for yes, type in for no. Will Freeman return to Atlanta? Let's get to this next grouping here. Marcus Stroman is a name out there. Our good pal Nick Castellanos as well. You got Starlin Marte, Kyle Schwarber. And a fly to left field from Nick Castellanos. If you know that quote, it's an all-time
legendary
call. Carlos Rodon as well. Where are we at with this grouping? I think Schwarber might be the biggest name, but who could have the most impact on a team next year?
Well, Stroman's been excellent for the Mets as a starting pitcher the last 2 years since they traded for him, and he's a wonderful athlete, a Gold Glove caliber pitcher as well. Nick Castellanos is a stud, and he's been a stud for the last few years. He's just somewhat under the radar, other than that Tom Brenneman quote that was infamously said a couple years ago because he plays in Cincinnati. And then Kyle Schwarber, great postseason moments for the Chicago Cubs, helped win that World Series for the first time in a long time, more than a century. But last year with the Nationals, he signs with them in free agency. He goes off. His power numbers are crazy. He was excellent for the Red Sox after the Nationals were sellers. And you're looking now at two outfielders in a race kind of like that shortstop race that we talked about earlier with Correa and Seager, with Castellanos and Schwarber. Two different players. Schwarber more of a power hitter and more of a boomer bust player, whereas Castellanos has more of the average there, batted .300 last year. Schwarber's also a little bit younger, but it's the variance in Schwarber that kind of concerns me. It's the consistency with Castellanos that I really like. Let us know which one you'd pick.
These are definitely both win-now guys, around 30 years old, so you're thinking, okay, 3, 4, 5-year deal, bring them in, let's try and make a run. Type NC for Castellanos, KS for Kyle Schwarber. We'll bring producer Jack Lauderay in here. Give us some analysis on some of this grouping of free agents.
I think this duo is the most intriguing duo of position groups in the entire free agency. Because, Correa is obviously the biggest name. So him and Corey Seager, I know I had my hot take, but Correa is obviously the better, but they're very evenly ranked. And I think the thing with Schwarber, and I'll say, watching the Red Sox a lot last year, he's starting to really find his footing. And obviously he was great in Chicago. He was really good in Washington last year. But when he got to Fenway, he was starting to get his groove.
Short porch
you know what
action.
I like about him too? Seizes the big moment.
Yes.
He's played in front of Chicago. He's played in front of Boston fans.
He's got some of that Correa juice
He's got that swagger and that juice that I really, really like, especially if you're giving him big money.
And that stuff matters in the postseason. Look, in game 132, who cares? I mean, it's not a big deal, but those are postseason type of players. That's why I might lean Schwarber over a Castellanos because Castellanos is playing in Cincinnati.
I'm going Castellanos over him.
Okay, yeah. All right. We'll see.
I'll be the outlier here.
We got 5 more to go here. Clayton Kershaw, obviously a huge name, but hurt in the playoffs. There's a lot of questions about how much he's got left. Kind of feels like an old 34 Chase. A lot of mileage on that arm. Michael Conforto as well. Chris Taylor, maybe the best utility player in baseball. Can play infield, can play outfield. You got Anthony Rizzo. And, hey, you can look at the age of Nelson Cruz if you want. The guy is still a beast. I mean, the guy just hits bombs every single year. It's incredible.
He's going to have to stay in the AL because at this point he can primarily play DH. He can't really play out in the field. And what's crazy, Nelson Cruz 51 homers away from 500. So I think that has motivated him to play
years
and hit like he did last year, but to also play maybe 2 more a year. So if you're an AL team looking for a DH, maybe you're not even in that winning picture. You sign Nelson Cruz, you know that he's going to launch bombs. 51 homers away from 500. Borderline Hall of Fame career, even though there was some PED speculation there. Very interesting with him. And then another name to keep an eye on, it's Saya Suzuki. Last year in Japan, 319, 436 OBP, and a 640 slug. Ooh. That was his slash line last year. He's in his late 20s. He's expected to be available as a free agent, working out for some clubs. So he's not technically listed on our top 20 free agent list that we put together. Is a name to keep an eye out on because he's a very good outfielder.
Yeah, we'll get Suzuki in the copy. Don't you worry about that. Who's your favorite MLB free agent? It's a good group. And remember, like the video if you want more baseball videos. We'll get some shout-outs here. Favorite free agent. Audience mostly held, so you guys seem...
Gamer Dude's back.
Seem interested. Yeah, Gamer Dude. What's up? He says Kyle Schwarber is who he's running.
Gamer Dude, Jack was telling me he really appreciates your support on all these shows, so keep it up, man.
Thank you, Gamer Dude.
Keep it up. You get that jersey yet? Let's see. Pack the car in the yard. I don't know what that means. Is that a line from
Pack
something?
the car in the yard.
Oh, yeah. I don't know anything
Robert
about
Bruce
that.
knows.
Cruz will be on a team. Yeah, Nelson. Look, if he's going to keep hitting 285 and 30 bombs, he can play till he's 45 as far as I'm concerned. I mean, the guy, his slash lines continue to be impressive despite being 41 years old. Chris Taylor is good from Gamer Dude. What directions will my Mets take, dude? The Mets are a mess. Do they just blow it up at this point, Chase, and start over?
The Mets?
Yeah.
Well, they just signed a general manager who used to be with the Los Angeles Angels.
And that's questionable.
My Phillies hired Matt Klentak from that same front office, and he set the franchise back a couple years. So, not good.
Great. Not great. We're going to shift from Major League Baseball to college football. We know you guys have been loving these
Bryce Harper MVP, by the way.
These coaching hot boards.
Yep. Bryce Harper named MVP.
Bryce Harper
just
named
moments
MVP.
Ago.
There you go.
He's my MVP.
You know
too.
who's not an MVP? Manny Diaz, the head coach of the University of Miami. We will take a look at 10 candidates to replace him if he gets fired. Any given Thursday, rolling along here with Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. Let's shift to college football here. Manny Diaz replacements if the Miami head coach were to get fired, and the hot seat is sizzling right now down in Miami. He is certainly on the hot seat after just a brutal loss, Chase, to Florida State. They're up 8 with 4 minutes to go. They lose by 3 in regulation. Now they're 5-5 on the season, whereas a couple of weeks ago, people thought maybe they're riding the ship after a brutal 1-3 start, I believe it was. This seat is on fire right now after losing to their rivals in a game that they completely controlled until the last couple of minutes.
Can we be honest here and just say that Miami has been a joke of a college football program for a long time? It seems as though every single year, and I know that they were good there for Mark Richt, they've been bad for a really long time, and they need to rebuild this thing from top to bottom. Now, they bring in a new athletic director, which is why we're doing this video, but every year we go into it and we're like, Miami's going to be back. Miami's ranked. They're really good. They win the first couple of games on their schedule, and then they just go in a tailspin. And under Manny Diaz, they have failed to find their footing. And I just think Diaz is better suited as a coordinator. I thought he got this job way too early. He got this job because his pops was a key political figure down in Florida and Miami, and it is clearly shown that he hasn't been ready. You get your hands on De'Ara King, you think once again this program is back, and they're not. It's time to move on from Manny Diaz, and I think the new AD is going to do just that, and that's why this video is serving the people.
So what do you guys think? Should Miami fire Manny Diaz? It's pretty clear what we think. Type Y for yes, type in for no. This is Miami, man. I'm not saying it's the 90s or whatever, but you can do better than Manny Diaz. Get your votes in, and after this sponsor plug from Chase Sr., we will get to 10 candidates to replace him.
I'm betting on Manny Diaz to be let go. You can get your bets in thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. Just head to chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code CHAT125. You get a 125% deposit bonus. And if you put $100 into your account for first-time signups and you lay a bet, we're going to send you a free jersey. That's right, a free jersey. This deal, it ain't no joke. Just go to chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code CHAT125. Sign up, deposit at least $100. You get that 125% deposit back. That's $225 to game with. You place a bet on any game, then all you have to do, email us, jersey@chatsports.com, letting us know that you followed all of these steps. If you want a Miami jersey crying, you can cop one. A Florida jersey with Dan Mullen. They were celebrating in the locker room after beating Samford. You can get your hands on one of those too. Alabama is actually a good program. So too is Ohio State. TCU is where Harrison Graham went to school. They have some of the freshest jerseys across college football. Get a free jersey by following those steps. If you forgot those steps, go back, screenshot it. We got you covered.
All right, let's get to 10 candidates here, and there's some interesting names, and there's a very interesting one coming up. Joe Moorhead, the offensive coordinator at Oregon. I don't know if this is the right culture fit for Moorhead. It didn't work in Starkville. He seems to be doing well in Oregon. I think either super high on the East Coast or staying in the Pacific Northwest seems like a more better fit than in Miami. But he has rebuilt his name. He could be a guy worth calling.
Look, I think the Mississippi State thing was just a bad situation at an awful time. That's what I think it was for Joe Moorhead. His play design, his offense, the way that he kind of maneuvers as a coach, I think it's great. It was awesome for Penn State. They won a Big Ten title. It was bad when he went to Mississippi State, even though they won some games and had some bad moments. I thought offensively they did some good things, and then he's been able to recapture that with Oregon. I like him as a prime head coach candidate. And then at number 9, it's really the monster name that we had to put on this list last minute. Can you imagine how much Florida State would be in shambles if Deion Sanders actually takes the Miami gig? If I'm the new AD at Miami and I'm looking at the head coaching vacancy and I want to make a splash and I can bring in a guy who is going to recruit the hell out of that state and bring Miami back, I'm going big, I'm going bold with Deion Sanders. Damn right I am.
The risk of Deion Sanders, number one, he obviously has very limited experience. They're doing well at Jackson State. He did get a top 60 recruiting class at an FCS program at HBCU. That's pretty damn impressive. The risk, though, is if this just flames out and he can't get the right assistant coaches in there, you maybe set yourself back. But the question is, aren't you already set pretty far back if you are Miami? So maybe
That's why I'm being aggressive
a calculated risk for Deion Sanders. I would find it interesting. He got legitimate buzz from TCU. They've kind of backed off in recent days. Maybe that changes. Maybe they circle back to him. But the fact that he's already getting in rooms with Power 5 programs tells me that he is on programs' radar. And, hey, if Florida State's in shambles, I don't have a problem with that. At number 8, Matt Campbell. I'm higher on him, Chase. I just think he's going to have better options, quite frankly, if he wants them. And he's also proven the last couple of years, if he doesn't get the offer that he wants, whether it's from a financial standpoint or from a fit standpoint, he'll just hang out at Iowa State and continue to get raises there because he is perfectly comfortable with that job. I'm not sure Miami's the right job for Matt Campbell.
What's hilarious is that everybody is dragging this guy saying, well, he didn't want to win a Big 12 championship. That wasn't his goal for this team. It was putting together and fostering a good culture.
It's Iowa State.
Who the hell cares? It's Iowa State. And when the Cyclones are competing and beating with the likes of Oklahoma, it's pretty damn impressive. And you know why they've been able to do that? Matt Campbell. So if I have confidence in a coach to rebuild a program, bring him back to relevance, and bring him back to the Miami that I know when they were balling out with Warren Sapp, Sean Taylor, Ed Reed, and the countless other studs that they had, it's Matt Campbell who can be that program and culture changer.
Who is the dream head coach target for Miami? And I'm glad you said that, too. People don't realize how bad Iowa State was when he got there. I mean, they were like, here's Kansas. Iowa State was like right here.
That's what I'm saying,
I mean, they were basically right there on par with Kansas in the Big 12. And Iowa State freaking won a New Year's Six
wins
bowl.
Big games. Miami loses them all.
Yeah, they won a New Year's Six bowl in the coming out of the Big 12 title game last year. It's ridiculous. Let us know who your dream head coach target would be for the Miami Hurricanes. We still got some candidates to get to. Dan Lanning, the defensive coordinator for Georgia. He's not a splashy name. He's maybe not a guy you've heard of, but he's a name that's gaining steam. And hell, when you're the DC, even though Kirby Smart is running the show for the #1 defense by a mile in America, you're going to get some looks. Georgia, Florida, regional, it makes sense. They're getting studs in the recruiting base at Georgia, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You get the right OC in there with Lanning, that could work.
Luke Fickell at number 6 of Cincinnati. And I love what Georgia's done, by the way. Everybody's like, we're moving in an offensive direction. Georgia's like, yeah, we're still going to focus on offense, but we're going all in on defense, and that could win them a national championship this year because seemingly nobody else across the country can play any defense at all. Luke Fickell's very interesting, Harrison. I know you have some thoughts on this.
Yep.
I can't say enough good things about him. Cincinnati has basically not lost the last 2 years. They went toe-for-toe with Georgia in what was the Peach Bowl last year.
Yep.
That's so impressive for Cincinnati to do. And I think they can still make it into the college football playoff.
Yeah, I mean, they got a good shot. And look, I think he's kind of in that Campbell category, maybe a knock higher in the sense that they can be picky. They don't have to. I mean, think about the jobs that are open this year, and we've done videos for all of them. Virginia Tech's out there, Washington, LSU, USC. Like, Fickell could have some better opportunities. Florida might open up. Like, this is not a great year for a job like Miami to potentially become open, because there are a lot of good jobs. TCU's a good job. Like, there are real good jobs in college football available all in the same season. Matt Campbell and Luke Fickell can be picky. They can wait for better opportunities. Miami's a good job, but it ain't the best job available right now.
Nope.
That is for damn sure, and that's what makes this thing tricky for the Hurricanes when they make a decision on Manny Diaz, which I still think they should fire him despite all of the things I just said. We'll get to our top 5 in just a moment. You got to subscribe to Chat Sports. We've been humming out college football videos every single week for about 3 months now, and it's multiple per week at this point in time. College football hot boards. We just did a Heisman Power Rankings video. We go live every Tuesday for the latest college football playoff rankings as well. The link is below, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Go check out our latest college football videos. Let's get into the top 5, and this was a name we talked about for this job that I actually think makes a lot of sense, Chase. James Franklin, who there was a lot of buzz to USC, but now with Penn State losing 4 of 5, that seems to have slowed down. And also, I think Penn State is becoming more open to the idea of trying something else. And Franklin, you want to talk about rebuilding a culture? Miami needs that, and he's a heck of a recruiter as well, which I know you've mentioned time and time again.
When the U was the U, their main calling card was recruiting. And the reason why this Miami job is desirable, they're inarguably the best state in the country for recruiting, because the list of recruits is endless. What's James Franklin's biggest strength? It's not game management. He's terrible there, but he's an elite recruiter. And I think that James Franklin, if he were to go to a program like Miami, and it certainly hasn't trended in the right direction this year for Penn State, I actually think it could be a mutual decision to part ways. He would be able to bring Miami back with his ability solely to recruit. Next year at Penn State has the top recruiting class in the country. That's notable, and that's really important. That's what James Franklin would have to do to really bring Miami back into being the elite program that it once was. Under Jimmy Johnson, when I was growing up under Larry Coker, they had so many elite players. To get back to the status of being one of the great programs in the country. You got to get those players back. Franklin could do that.
These two jobs, Chase, have a lot of parallels. Nightlife, big city, celebrities,
ocean.
They've coast, desirable locations to live. There's a lot of similarities. What they also have in common, Chase, neither have been elite for quite a while. So what's the better job? Is it Miami or USC? I would lean USC, but the Pac-12 is a worse conference than the ACC, in my opinion. So we'll let you guys decide. Type MIA for Miami, type USC for USC. Both have been great at times. Be interesting to see which program really gets back first. Let's get to number 4, Jamie Chadwell, who's a hot young name, Coastal Carolina. What he's done there is pretty unbelievable when you think about it. I mean, they've only had a football program at the Division I level for like 15 years or something. It's just ridiculous. Regional ties make sense over there on the East Coast. You know, maybe it's not splashy. Maybe he's not as proven at the Power 5 level. But I think this would be a pretty good hire if you end up with Jamie Chadwell, especially in a competitive college football coaching market.
No, I agree. What he's done there is impressive. And what Dave Clawson, who comes in at number 3 at Wake Forest, is really impressive, too. Up until a couple weeks ago, they were undefeated. And, you know, what these guys can do from just a cultural standpoint of getting schools that are really on the scrap heap and then building them up into national prominence is really impressive, and that's why they become names on these lists, and that's why they're desirable candidates for an athletic department, because they're like, okay, we see what Jamie Chadwell did at Coastal Carolina, we see what Dave Clawson did at Wake Forest, why can't they do that here in similar fashion?
To win at Wake Forest, you've got to be a hell of a player.
That's what I'm saying.
Player developer, because you're not getting big recruits. Dude, Wake Forest is like the Vanderbilt of the ACC. And they might win the ACC championship. I don't care if the conference is down. What he's doing with one of the most impressive offenses in the country this year is pretty damn impressive, who also is a culture setter and an absolute beast of a coach as well. Mario Cristobal, who played at Miami, who grew up in Miami, who loves this university. He's got it rolling at Oregon, Chase, but you can't tell me the guy ain't interested if you call Mario Cristobal to come home and play or be a coach at Miami. I would argue that Oregon currently is a better job than Miami. I think that's arguable, But the personal connection, and Cristobal strikes me as one of those guys, is pretty hard to turn down, I would guess, in my opinion.
You grow up in Miami, you become just obsessed with the game of football. You watch the green and orange in those uniforms, and you're like, man, I'd love to either play for that program, I'd love to coach there one day. Mario Cristobal has an opportunity to do that, but I think Oregon is in a much better spot. Two, in the Pac-12, you have an opportunity really to get into the college football playoff every year, including this year because that conference is wide open. With Miami, you really have to just hit the reset button and build that up from scratch. But that's also desirable for a lot of guys because they see that as an opportunity to be a hometown hero. Mario Cristobal has an opportunity to be that.
We would have Cristobal at number 1, but there's legitimate buzz, and I won't say hardcore reports, but some reporting that Lane Kiffin, the head coach at Ole Miss, is the front runner for Miami, and that if Miami were to indeed fire Manny Diaz, which we both believe they should, that not only would Kiffin be the front runner, he's interested. Like, he would take that job. That's what's the chatter right now in the college football rumor mill circles. This would be interesting. I mean, Lane's not afraid to bounce around. We know that. And here's the thing. Ole Miss is a good job. He's made it a consistent program the past couple of years. You can win there. You're never running the SEC, though.
No.
I mean, there's 5-6 programs that you don't even have to think about that are better jobs. Bama, Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Texas A&M, OU and Texas are coming in there. Like, Ole Miss ain't those universities. But Miami and the ACC, even with Clemson's last decade plus, Clemson isn't a historical blue blood. If you got it rolling at Miami, you can win the ACC year in and year out potentially. This is interesting, Chase, if they were to get Lane Kiffin, a guy who I know you're very high on.
Not only is this rumor so juicy, but it's hilarious that it comes from convicted felon Nevin Shapiro, who said that Lane Kiffin would be atop Miami's list of head coaches, and there's reports out there indicating, Andy Slater, that Lane Kiffin would leave Ole Miss for Miami. And I think you make good points in saying that in the SEC at Ole Miss, you're always going to have a roadblock in front of you. And maybe once in 5 years, you're going to have an opportunity to compete for a national championship. At Miami, in the hotbed state of recruiting that Florida is, you're only competing with the likes of Dabo Swinney and Clemson. And does Dabo at some point leave? If Clemson continues to go downhill, that's a potential possibility as well. So for Lane Kiffin, he obviously understands that state very well because he coached there previously. I love Lane Kiffin, how he's rebuilt his image. I love his offense. I love how he adapts and evolves with the times and offensive football. And I think Lane would be a splash higher at the U, and he might be able to bring them back.
I mean, listen, they're going to go 10-2 in his second year at Ole Miss. That's
wild.
That's really good work. They're probably going to finish in the top 10. Who will be Miami's coach in 2022? Those are our top 10 candidates. Maybe it's still Manny Diaz, but hopefully not for Hurricanes fans. Get some shout-outs going. I'm saying USC is a better job. I would tend to slightly agree, but I do think it's closer than people think. I think Miami can be a good job. The problem USC and Miami both have, stadium's not on campus, which I think in modern college football is a challenge. I don't like that, especially if you're trying to get a bunch of students at the game. And, you know, those are two cities that if you're not good, people lose interest. They just check out. I mean, USC games, Chase, you've watched. It's like 30, 40, 50% full sometimes.
Nobody's there.
It's a joke. You got to win.
It's a
you
joke.
know? And that's the Pac-12 as a whole, for being honest. Let's see, USC, I guess, from Clayton. So we'll see what happens, man. It's wild, the amount of good jobs that are available in college football this year. All right, NFL season continues to plug along. We'll get to our weekly picks against the spread. Let's rapid fire this piece, Jack, so we can wrap it up. We'll get into NFL Week 11 picks against the spread coming up. He's Chase Sr. I'm Harrison Graham. NFL Week 11 is upon us, so we do what we do every week. Chase and I make our picks against the spread, and then we will inform you guys of our office picks as well. But let's get you guys caught up on the Chat Sports standings. Boss Man Yodes leading the way at 28-22. Got a group at 26-24. Marshall Green, Daddy Downey, and Matthew Peterson. I'm 24-26. So is Jack Lotteray, our producer. Mitchell Renz, Trace Gerard, Thomas Mott, it's Fade Mott season, and Jeremy Beadling all hovering with 22 or 23 wins. And then you got executive producer Sam Brown, who, 0-5 last week. He was in shambles when he walked in today. I had to give him a pat on the back. Brett Scott, 20-30. Jeffrey Cooperstein. Chase, you're almost out of last place.
Hey.
You're trying to make moves. Can Chase make a comeback?
4-1 last week, folks.
Out of the gutter. Hey, I'll tell you this. Our office as a whole was what, 21-49 last week?
I paced the office, man.
He went 4-1. I went 3-2. So your boys here on the show had a positive week. Can Chase get out of this hole completely? Type Y for yes, type N for no, and we'll see what happens. We'll get to his picks coming up in just a second. We'll start with my picks here at 24-26, trying to get above 500 here. 49ers -6 at Jacksonville. I thought Kyle Shanahan called the best game he's called all year. Debo Samuel's balling out. The Jags are playing better, but I like where San Francisco is right now. I think they're trying to make a second-half push. Cincinnati -1 at Las Vegas. Both these teams are reeling. Cincy coming off a bye, that doesn't necessarily lead to wins this year in the NFL based on recent weeks, but I trust Joe Burrow a little more than Derek Carr. The Raiders have been here before, and this is when they start to stumble. We'll see. I like Cincinnati. The over in Chicago-Baltimore. Bears defense hasn't been playing as well. Justin Fields, though, has been playing a lot better. I think 45 is reachable, especially Baltimore coming off a bad game against Miami. I think Lamar Jackson and those boys will play better. I think that hits that over. Packers -1 at Minnesota. This line is one of those, what does Vegas know? But I'm going to ride with Aaron Rodgers over Kirk Cousins any day of the week. He's Kurt until he plays better, by the way. Chiefs -2.5 against Dallas. I'm back on the Chiefs train. I think they beat Dallas this weekend.
4-1 last week. The comeback is on and popping. Look out, everybody here at the Chat Sports offices. I'm coming for your neck. Colts +7. That's how we're going to start off the winning streak against Buffalo. I really like Indianapolis. They're a really good defense. Now, this line could be in danger if Carson Wentz throws some awful interception late, but I actually think they're a legitimate football team, and people are overhyping the Bills a little bit. That offense, while good at times, has struggled against very good defenses. That's what Indy has. I think Indy could control the run game there. Giants +11. On the road at Tampa Bay. Look, the Giants under Daniel Jones on the road against the spread as underdogs have been lights out, and I think that number continues. Tampa Bay has really struggled the last couple of weeks. A bad loss last week against the Washington football team coming out of the bye. I think the Buccaneers win because they're the better team, but the Giants, rocking the all-white color rush uniforms, end up covering that large number at +11. I'm with Harrison in saying that Kyle Shanahan was in his bag as a play caller last week. -6 against the Jags. The Jags have played a lot of teams close of late the last several weeks as they continue to get better under Urban Meyer. I do think because they are talent depleted, this is going to be a down week for them, and the Niners win by 10. Eagles -1 against the Saints. I think New Orleans, as a road underdog their last 10 games, there's something crazy like 9-0-1. I just think Philadelphia is playing really well. The matchup to watch here, Eagles running offense, which has been one of the best in the league, against one of the better run defenses in New Orleans. It's Trevor Siemian at the end of the day, folks. Texans +10 against the Titans. Look, you're like, oh, Tennessee's really good and the Texans are bad. This is an AFC South rivalry game. These two teams know each other really well. The Texans are somewhat more respectable with Tyrod Taylor. +10, I like that large number. Underdogs have been crushing.
Let's get producer Jack Lauderay in here as he goes through his picks. We're tied. This is a big week, head-to-head, Jack. Take us through your picks here.
You could say that everything is on the line this week.
We got 7 weeks to go.
Dolphins -3. Hate the Jets. The Jets are terrible. Mike White, Joe Flacco. I don't care who's at quarterback. They're losing.
Dolphins played better last week.
And they did play better last week. Titans -10 versus Houston. Houston's also terrible, so I'm going to take the Titans. Chiefs -2.5. Sorry, Daddy Downey. The Chiefs are back.
Did you just call Downey Daddy? Wow.
I said Daddy Downey.
Daddy Downey.
Hey, he is.
I'm with both
In what
Chase.
way do you mean that, though?
He's a dad
because
now.
he's a dad now.
Or is he your daddy?
Keep it rolling, Jack.
I'm with both of you for 49ers. I think Kyle Shanahan had a great game. They're playing the Jaguars. Hopefully it's not another Bills game. We would all be in shambles. And Ravens, I'm sorry, Harrison, -4.5 at Chicago. It's just how it is.
That's okay, man. That's okay. If that means Matt Nagy's out, I'm all for it. So we will see what happens. We're going to go rapid fire through the rest of the office in a second. But who's going to have the better week? Do you like Chase's picks the best? My picks? or Jacks. Type C for Chase, H for Harrison, J for Jack. And we will see how it shakes out this week. The standings are tightening up, especially if Chase can string a couple of good weeks together. We certainly have a lot of football left to play, both on the field and with our betting partner, BetUS, which Chase is going to tell you all about.
If you want to lay down some bets, you can do so. BetUS is our sportsbook partner, and they've been killing the game just like we here at Chat Sports have been killing the game as well, kind of. Chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code CHAT125. You get a 125% deposit bonus. And for first-time users, if you use that link and that promo code and put in at least $100 and make a bet, we'll send you a free NFL jersey. Just head to chatsports.com/bet. Enter the promo code CHAT125. Sign up. Deposit $100. Get that 125% deposit back. That's $225 to game with. Place a bet on any game. Then email us jersey@chatsports.com, letting us know that you followed all those steps. Joe Burrow jersey maybe for the Cincinnati Bengals fans. Tom Brady threads with the Tampa Bay Bucks. He is the GOAT. Patrick Mahomes with the Kansas City Chiefs. Matthew Stafford, his wife throwing hot dogs at 49ers fans. Maybe
Pretzels.
you still want his jersey. Was it pretzels?
Pretzels.
Hot dogs.
It's all the same.
Batteries, snowballs at Santa Claus, whatever. Kyler Murray, Arizona Cardinals. Dak Prescott, whatever jersey you want, we can get you hooked up. Just email us jersey@chatsports.com for that jersey deal after following all those steps. Bossman Yodes, 28-22 on the year. He likes the Titans -10, the over for New Orleans, Philadelphia at 43, the under for Cincinnati, Las Vegas at 50.5, Buccaneers -11, and then the over for San Francisco, Jacksonville at 45.
Downey the dad, congrats to him and his. Raiders +1. He likes the Saints +1.5. Cowboys +2.5. Packers -2.5, so he got that line at Packers -2.5. I got it at -1. Guess he was busy with other stuff. Bills -7 against Indianapolis.
Marshall Green, Money Marsh, he's been making that money. Bengals -1, Saints +1, Packers -2. I kind of like that as well, even though Minnesota's sneaky good this year. Giants +11. He is the host of New York Giants Now. Check out that channel. And Ravens -4.5 against the Bears.
Petey, Matthew Peterson. We call him Petey. San Francisco Jags over 45. Dolphins -3. He likes the Titans as well. Bengals -1, and then the under in Arizona, Seattle. That's an interesting game. I think that's a trap game for Arizona. I think that could be hey, Russell Wilson's still back, baby. We'll see what happens in that game. So who's going to pass James this week? Petey, Tom, or Marsh? They're all on James's heels. Type P for Petey, type T for Tom, type M for Marsh. We going Money Marsh?
Yeah.
Who we going with
I like
here?
Marsh to catch up.
All right, we'll see what happens on that front. Keep it moving here with Mitchell Renz at 23-27. Has not had a better week than 3-2 all year. The under in the Jets-Dolphins game, he took the Packers -2.5. Arizona, Seattle under 48. Ravens -4.5, and then the Colts +7.
Trace Gerard, 23-27. Woo Pig, 49ers -6 against the Jags. The under for Miami Jets at 44.5. He, too, likes the Packers -2. It's a popular bet this week. Cardinals -2 against Seattle. I don't know. Russell Wilson, never doubt him. Chiefs -2.5 against the Cowboys. It's going to be an awesome game.
Fade Mott is in full effect after a good start. He's fallen off in about the last month or so. Under in the Indy-Buffalo game. He also likes the Eagles -1. He bets the Eagles every week. Packers -2.5. Bengals -1. And then Arizona -2.5 at Seattle. Hit that subscribe button. We'll have videos all season long. Turn on those notifications as well. It's youtube.com/chatsportstv. And we'll continue to have the latest news and rumors and other segments around the NFL. Let's keep it going with Chugs. Jeremy Beadling, Chiefs -2.5, Eagles -1. He's got the Dolphins -3, the over in Washington, Carolina, and he also likes the over in San Francisco, Jacksonville.
L2 Clouds in the chat letting Harrison know that the Bears signed Bruce Irvin. Okay. Sam Brown, 21-29 on the year. Colts +7. Titans -10. Over for Green Bay, Minnesota at 49. Chiefs -2.5 against the Cowboys. And the over 43. New Orleans, Philadelphia. I'm going to keep it rolling here because Harrison Graham losing his shit that Bruce Irvin is going to Chicago. Brett Scott, 20-30 on the year. Titans -10. Raiders +1. Colts +7 against Buffalo. Jets +3 against the Dolphins. And also, sharp bet over for Philly, New Orleans.
Coop Cup, Jeffrey, 49ers -6, not to get confused with Cooper Cup. The over in Green Bay, Minnesota. Cardinals -2 at Seattle. Carolina -3.5. That's going to be interesting, Chase. Cam Newton's home return to Carolina this week. That should be fascinating. And then Cowboys +2.5 at Kansas City. All right, can our boy Chase make a comeback? Y for yes, N for no. And then we're going to wrap this thing up here.
Yeah.
We're going to sign off. We're done.
Type your Ys.
Another AGT in the books. 2 hours today. Let's ride.
Yeah.
Efficient cut daddies today here on any given Thursday. L2 believes in you, Chase. You got to pass Coop this week, right?
I will.
Is that a guarantee? Is that a Plaxico Burress guarantee?
Man, I've lost a lot of swagger points being behind Coop, so I'm going to pass him this week.
Oh, man. We'll see what happens. Guys, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Had some fun talking some baseball. Should be fun next week. We'll see what we have cooked up for you guys. Chase and I signing off. Shout out to producer Jack Lotta Ray. We'll see you guys next week here on Any Given Thursday.